Morning.
Yeah.
Super excited to be here, guys. And David was talking about starting when he was 24. And I was thinking back when I got started, I was 22. And no, 23, I guess. It's been 22 years in the business. I just turned 45. So next September, I will actually have spent half my life in Primerica, starting when I was 23, be 46 next year. So flies by like that. It's so cool to see that what's happening, and I think how much we've grown as people. I was a big project, and I probably still am a big project, but I was really big back then. But super excited to talk to you guys today and about where Primerica's at. I was telling the group from Tennessee over here, I was born in Tennessee, so kind of got a special place in my heart for them. But I was telling them, I can't understand, I can't believe, I can't start to fathom how the company keeps getting better. And when I was new, I was thinking, dang, I gotta go quick, I gotta go fast. I had this huge sense of urgency because I thought, golly, it's like, it's gotta have peaked. This was back in 2000. And you know, they're gonna have 20,000 offices open in 10 minutes and I gotta get me some. And but then like a year later, it got better. Then 5 years later, it got better. And then 10 years later, I'm looking at it. Every time we have the Primerica meeting, they come out with some huge improvement that keeps making it better. I keep thinking,
Vaya a hacer pipi, voy a dejar que ya está haga pipi.
They keep making it better. They keep making it better. I'm so glad.
Vaya haga pipi.
Really smart people at home office that spend their days, weeks, months, and years figuring out how to do that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. But before I get into that part, I want to talk a little bit on the front end because we never want to take for granted the newer people in the that are coming in here. And this may be your first meeting. What do I press the center? Hold it down or one? Probably use your error.
Voy a hacer pipi.
Vaya. So what I want to do in the front end, there we go, is talk a little bit about just who we are as a company. And as I go through, I'll talk about just the state of the company. And for those of you that are here that are really in the business, that you're thinking about doing this thing full time. And I think we've got an opportunity today. And I think the opportunity is different for different people. Like I said, this may be your first time in a meeting like this, and so the opportunity is the company. It's the chance to go out there and have some great extra parts of income or a career, but there's different opportunities for different seasons. Some of us in here have been here a little bit of time, like me. We're a little further down the road than new, and so I think we also have an opportunity. I think we got to be careful.
Vamos a Sam's, vamos a Walmart primero.
That we got an opportunity if we're RVP.
Porque ya aún así compramos la carne y las cosas, hay que traerlas a la casa.
If we're at a six-figure income at 100,000, we have an opportunity to go to 2. If we're at 4, we have an opportunity to go to 5, 6, or 7, and we have an opportunity to go out there and so I think whatever season we're in, one of my challenges today, you're going to hear from some pros, several high six-figure earners today. And one of my challenges for you is be present today. Every one of us has stuff going on out there. You've got personal stuff, life stuff, some of you financial stuff, some of you health stuff. One of my challenges is take that stuff and put it in a little box on the back seat of your car and mentally leave it out there. Because I promise you, when you're done in a few hours, when you go get in your car, when you walk out this door, I promise you all that stuff's going to jump right back out of that box, right back in your head. But when you're here today, be present. Another challenge I have for you is take notes. I know at my age, it's hard for me to remember stuff. And if you write stuff down, when you hear stuff, there may be 2, 3, 4, 5 little adjustments that you hear from people today. Maybe how to say something, maybe how to think, that if you'll write that down, circle it, then that can maybe change the direction. David told me one time, he said, Jerry, for most people, their business it's not like it's going to go like this forever. It kind of goes along and it's a little rocky, but it's like dialing dials in a lock. You get if there's 6 dials or 7 dials, you may have 6 of them dialed in right, and just 1 dial is not dialed in right. And when you get that last dial dialed in right, then the lock pops open. So it's usually for most people, not 5 or 10 or 15 things you gotta change. It's one or two. It's one or two little adjustments. And then the opportunity door opens wide open and it explodes. It grows super fast. And so pay attention to those. And the last challenge I'll give you is there's gonna be people that pop in your mind today, this morning, of people that are gonna, I believe God's gonna put them in your head, of people you need to call. And so when those people pop in your head, somebody says something, it could be me or another speaker, somebody's gonna pop in your head, somebody that you need to call to set an appointment with, you go have coffee with or lunch with, write the names of those people in the margin of your paper. Don't let that be a fleeting thought. Write it down in the margin of your paper, because there will be a point after tomorrow next week, because you wrote that down, it will pop back in your head. You'll be looking back over your notes, and that one conversation could change the entire direction of your business. It could put you in markets and open things up that totally changes the trajectory for you. Let's not miss this today, this opportunity. Okay, so just for the newer people, our company has never been more credible, been more stable than it is right now. We've been around for 45 years. This February will be 46, have more licensed people than any other company in the financial industry. We've got thousands of offices, all the highest ratings you can get. We have millions of clients. Some do mortgages, some investments, some insurance, some kind of a combination of all of that. We're getting all kind of incredible recognition. I don't know if y'all, the RVPs in here probably got little stickers this week that have this one's like little round stickers. You can put them on your door, your office, and they send them out, I think, to all the offices in the company. I mean, I opened those up. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh, it's great. I love stuff like that, because what it does is it just confirms who we are. What we know, you've been around more than 90 days, you know this is good. You know it's real. You know it's credible. You know it helps people. But for newer people, things like this was huge for me, to see credible third-party sources saying that's a good company. That's a trustworthy company. That's a good thing. Go talk to them. That's what this is saying, and gives us just more credibility. And when you get on a list like this, I mean, the companies that were on that list are not mom and pop shops. Just to be on the list, these are billion-dollar companies. And for us to not only be on it, be number one, that's a huge deal. So don't take stuff like that for granted. Now, I love this slide right here, because this goes to the simplicity of what we do and the power of what we do. See, there's problems out there. One of the key things, I think, if we're all here going to take advantage of opportunity, whether you're new, seasoned, want to go to the next level, one of the keys, I think, to taking advantage of opportunities is you've got to identify a problem and then show a solution. And so if you're taking notes, you may want to write that down. Identify a problem, show a solution. That's when you're meeting with somebody, looking at the opportunity, helping somebody with their finances. But here's the problem. People, when they're young, they've got children, debt, mortgage. As they grow up, over on this right side, their kids grow up, hopefully their debt is lower. The problems are when they're over here, loss of income would be devastating. So the dying too soon is the risk. Okay, getting over here, they don't have anything saved. Living too long is the risk. So what we do, this slide represents 99% of the financial challenges people have. And what we do is we've got solutions to fix 99% of it right here. So all we do is we teach them about low-cost term insurance, what all the consumer advocates teach, so that they're properly protected. We teach them to become debt-free, so they become debt-free. They don't have that burden. And we teach them how to invest wisely so they become financially independent. I love that we can show the philosophy of our business, that we can show the simplicity of the power of what we do on one slide. I love that it's that simple. There is power in simplicity. You can grow faster when it's simple and when it's good for folks. And so, you know, if I was looking at those things, the investment part, I mean, you're going to hear from some beasts today. Like my business, we've done around 22, 23 million of new investments here today, like my entire business. Like Jimmy Hass is right at 30 million. David has done 200 million. Y'all, can you wrap your head like here today, the people in this room, some of which are obviously part of David's business, have helped families invest over $200 million the right way. Just this year so far, 20 million a month on average. The ripple effects, the impact that we're having on people, we're killing them. And getting people out of debt. I don't know if anybody noticed the article. Quicken was ranked just like yesterday, I think, the #1 mortgage company in the United States in customer service. Like they're happier with them than any other mortgage company out there, right? They've already rolled that out in a whole bunch of different states. But the insurance area, guys, this is the biggest, most recent change that we've had. And so I was thinking about it before it rolled out. If I had a dream list of the things that I would want to do, listen, here was the challenge that we had. Our insurance product, our term insurance, we're the largest term company in the country. We already, before the new one rolled out, had the best product on the market. We were the most competitive. We beat 95% of the products out there just based on price. The other 5% we beat on value. We had renewal rates, we had level coverage, not trigger coverage that went up, right? Scheduled, not guaranteed. So we already had that stuff. So how do you make the best product better? And so I was thinking, if I had a dream list of how to make it better, this is what would be on my dream list. It would be even better cost savings. It'd be something that's even more competitive. So we can now fight against that other 5% that we weren't beating just in price. A better value for the client, something that gives them more coverage, locked in, better rates, something that is streamlined and faster to process. So our back office, they can get stuff issued super fast with less hassle for clients. I had a client the other day. It was a mom and dad. Dad applied for $1 million of coverage. Mom did a separate policy for $650,000. Before, they both have to do pyramid exams. They have to meet with a nurse. The one that did the $1 million has to, but within 24 hours, the one that applied for the 650, they waived the requirement, issued the policy in like 2 days for 650,000. That's like in my 22 years, that's never happened. She's like, what? I doesn't have to be with a nurse to do this and this and this and this. No, it's issued, it's approved. Congratulations. That's unheard of in the industry, right? More customized for the client. We had 4 classes. It went to 10. It's kind of like if you walk in a t-shirt shop. I love the example Steve Madison used. And there's 4 different sizes of t-shirts, but then you walk in next door.
The 2 men are, and they have run out of ammunition. And there is a man that is climbing up the stair steps to the tower, and he has all of the ammunition.
And then lastly, the most exciting about it
Yay!
is simpler.
Okay, we're gonna break. Anyway, to make a story short, be strong and be of good courage. But the tower, the man in the tower who had all the ammunition for that was climbing to the men in the tower stopped because he was scared. And the enemy soldiers went past him. He's standing there with ammunition and with a weapon, and he's not doing anything. And the enemy soldiers went up, killed the 2 men in the tower.
That's just unheard of in the industry. And so a new person coming in seeing that, it just streamlines it, speeds up what was already the best thing out there. And so that's our new product. That's the next gen product. We just want to get into the details on that today. But guys, if you haven't like put in the wheels out there on the road and run it, it is incredible what this product I think is going to do for business. It's going to double bonuses, go from 50 to 100% more bonuses. RVPs are going to get promoted faster. See, before you could get, when you met with a couple, a max of 1,500 points towards your promotion. Now you meet with a couple in the right market, that upper middle income market, it's double that. You get more paid up front, so it's going to help us retain new people. I mean, I could go down the list. It's been 30 minutes just on this, but it is so much better for our business. I don't think we've realized it yet. Now, here's the financial house. And this is so important because the foundational part, this is something that I'm speaking on my business that we need to improve. We're helping a lot of families right now. We're helping about 250 clients a month with me and all my RVPs combined. But we have so much room for growth, so much more that we can be.
I had something that was running alongside my vehicle on the inside of the space.
People in America specialize. They get really good at one of these things back then. They get really good at 529 college plans, really good at retirement rollovers, really good at pack drafts, really good at term insurance, really good at building. One of my challenges is there's an opportunity for you to change your culture, for those of you that want to grow, to a financial literacy culture. That's what we talk about in my office, is that we want to help people across the board, but keep it simple. Now look, if your RVP tells you something different, you need to go with what your RVP is saying. You need to follow their lead, because they know what they're doing. If you go RVP, and once you go RVP, you can have your own culture, your own environment, but you run the RVP play that your RVP is taught. But for me and my house, we want to do the whole deal, and that comes out.
Okay, the volume on Zoom definitely works, okay? So we're good.
So, no idea what I was talking about? With the financial house, the financial literacy part of it is, I think we have a chance here to not specialize and to go across the board. And so my challenge, if you're really good at one of these things, how cool would it be in 2 months from now, 3 months from now, if you could say, you know what, I'm doing the whole job for families. I'm getting the foundation of the house properly protected. I'm helping them get their college account set up, their retirement account set up. But you know what? When I meet the clients that have money, I'm helping them roll it over. And you know what? I'm building my managed accounts, and you're across the board in all the main areas. You feel you're 8, 9 out of 10 competent because you've been swinging the bat. And I think you can get so much more out of your business if you do that. I think I messed it up again.
Here.
Yes, sir. Oh, there it is.
I hold that top button down for a second. There you go, you're good.
Yep.
And then
Okay, so identify a problem, find a solution. This comes from Dave Ramsey's side. More Americans struggling to cover basic needs. This came out in September, 2 months ago. This blew my mind, guys. If you look at the people that are struggling to pay their rent and their mortgages, between 50 and 60%. 5 to 6 out of 10 people are struggling to pay their bills. That's a problem. You look at this over here, just paying their bills in general and buying food. 4 to 6 out of 10 people. That's a problem, guys. And one of the wealthiest countries in the world, 60% worry about their finances every day. Almost 60% are considering changing jobs. That's a problem. We've got the solution to this. But if you don't see it, if we as a team don't see the opportunity to teach financial literacy, the opportunity to give them a shot to make money. You know what most people need? They don't need us to move money around on paper with a budget. What they need is an extra $1,000 a month, an extra $2,000 a month. That would solve all of their financial issues and give them a surplus to change their standard of living. That's probably the biggest thing we can do. And so our solution is this. We're looking for folks that want to join us in this and help us with this crusade. I think that there's, for me, the way I see this is there's 3 different kind of directions or paths people can take. The first one is a financial coach, a financial advisor, a financial analyst, just depends on what you want to call it. But that's somebody part-time. Here's what we're looking for: people with the art of teaching that want to teach and help and learn this stuff, get their life license and their securities license, and teach people how to get this stuff straight. I've got people part-time in my office that make 30, 40, 50,000 a year working 5 to 6, 7, 8 hours a week. It's serious income that would change most people's lives. We're especially looking for leadership. See, there's people in here today that are here because you want to do something part-time, but after today, you're going to hear speakers today, and there's going to be a light switch in your head go off like it did for mine 22 years ago, where you can say, you know what, this is so much bigger than I thought it was. Like, I was here just to make $1,000. But they're talking about like people like me, where I come from with no financial background. I have my own branch office, be a vice president, make a 6-figure passive income. And so that light switch for some people is going to go off today. And you're going to realize we need 5,000 more offices, and whoever meets the qualifications first gets them. They're wide open. We're opening about 1 a day right now. So we got a big job ahead of us, but we can have as many of those. And then there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 people in here that have huge goals and huge dreams. And it could be somebody that's already in business. A lot of times for me, I did not see that 3rd one until my 10th year. 10 years in, I was an RVP. We were making 6 figures, 120, 130,000 a year. In Mississippi, that's pretty good. Right in your 30s, making 6 figures outside from out there, I was the man. But I wasn't working 10 hours a week, a legit 10 or 15 hours a week. And I was reading in Matthew, the parable of the talents. And I felt like God slapped me upside the head and said, look, you've got this huge opportunity and you're not taking advantage of it. You buried it in the sand. And I said, and I had seen David and Jill and Mike and Amy and other people that had built real businesses, real passive income. And in our 10th year, that's when we actually went to work. We went to work for a short period to go on vacation. And then in my 10th year, we decided, you know what, we're not going to miss this opportunity to go out there and really do something big. And we changed up some of the things we were doing. I started listening closer to what my leaders, my coaches were telling me, and everything changed. We went from 120 to 600 in 4 years, not because of me, but because of the system when you work the system right. And so that's our 3rd opportunity, more like a franchise. somebody who wants to have a training center that teaches and trains people this craft, that mentors them and encourages them, lets them kind of incubate in the potluck, right, in the crock pot, or rather, until they're ready, and then promotes to RVPs and opens offices. And so we are absolutely revolutionizing. We've got a business degree, and we are revolutionizing. They will study this business model in business school one day. This was totally foreign to me, Orlando, when I got this business, because there were people like David and Jill who were obviously professional people, but they were never like yelling and screaming at people and never like being mean and never firing people. They were always encouraging people. It's like so anti-corporate what I heard it was. And so we've got to realize if you come from a corporate background into this, it's going to look different. It's going to be different because it's fixed to the original parts of corporate. And so if you look at our business, we're what we call a hybrid business model. And it's not corporate, it's not franchising, it's not direct sales. It's a mixture of all those things. And it is absolutely brilliant how they put this thing together. People that own businesses, when they look at our business model and they examine it and look at it closely, they realize, dang, you've got a business you own, but you don't have payroll or liability, franchise fees, and you didn't have to pay for it. And like it blows their mind. It's hard for most people to wrap their head around. So this is the slide we use to explain kind of the pros and cons. And so if you work at a company like Nissan here locally, 5 minutes, 10 minutes down the road, it's branded, it's professional. People know who you work with. You have no liability to payroll. The challenge of working in corporate America is that there's a lot of cons to it. There's a limit to what you can make. It's based on your hours, and that's it. You're not going to have job security ever. Because do you think if they realize that they could put a Nissan plant that's here in another country and save $10 million a month, you think they're going to leave it here or move it? Probably move it, right? So long term, no ownership, no overrides. Hey, you go into franchising, right? Franchising has been very popular. You get ownership systems, you get overrides, which is profit. You can leave it to your family. The next is super expensive. There's ongoing franchise fees, payroll liability. Well, Jared, what about real estate? I've been looking at real estate. I think this would be the worst time to go to real estate. But real estate, you can build it as big as you want. That's a pro. If you become a broker, you can have 5 agents or 10 or 50. You have no territories. You can go wherever you want to go. Here's the challenge that you lose your best people. See, if you're good at real estate and you go work for a broker, how long do you think it's going to take those good sales agents to realize their broker is getting some of their commission? Like a short period of time or a long period of time? Probably a short period of time. And so almost every one of the good ones just goes and takes their broker license after a year or two, and now they get their whole commission. So you're always training your competition. They have no system of building owners, and you're always training them. And then there's these direct sales things. This is the one I have the least experience with. I've heard of people that do this kind of stuff. It's the, you know, and again, I'm not knocking this, that you can do this, juices and stuff like that. You can hire part-time people. There's no territories, you get profit. Here's the challenge I've seen. I've never seen one of those things where you can buy yourself, make a legitimate income. The only people that make 6 figures in that stuff are ones that have thousands of people or hundreds of people that are buying the stuff, internal consumption. The other challenge I've seen with those things is, this is probably not a word, but everyone I've ever seen is retailing. What I mean by that is, if it is a legitimate juice that you drink and you lose weight, eventually Sam's Club and Walmart and Costco and Target are going to figure that out, and they're going to buy the rights to sell that stuff. Amazon's going to buy the rights to sell that stuff, stick it on their shelf on their website, and fire all the middlemen. It's happened to a bunch of those companies. So if it's legitimate, it will be on a store shelf. If it's not, it will be regulated out of each. And so I've never seen one of those things be long term. And so what Primerica did, I don't know if it was intentional or it just happened, is they took the pros of all of those and combined them into our business model, where you have all of these things right here. And is it a perfect company? No. Is it hard? Yes, because you got to learn new things. You're going to be challenged and you got to grow. But I've never seen a better business model ever in 22 years, or when I was in school studying them. It is absolutely brilliant that they give us the opportunity to do. And so real simply, as I wrap up last 2 slides, we've got over 5,000 offices. We have 2% market share. That's a big deal. 6 to 7 million people trust our company, trust us to help them with their finances. But there's 300 million people plus in the US. So 98% of the country are not clients. We will not saturate our market in our children's lifetime. Just here in Mississippi, as an example, there's almost 40,000 people a year turning 25. And that means our market, we probably only got 75,000 clients total in Mississippi after 45 years. So every roughly 18 months, our entire market is replenishing itself just with people entering the target market. And it's like that everywhere in the country. Guys, we have the biggest market opportunity with virtually zero competition, so we want to grow. And so the last thought I'll leave you with is this. I believe that we have an opportunity today. Like I said, I think some people, this is your first meeting. Some people in here, this is your 50th meeting, but everyone in here has an opportunity to walk through a door. And I believe that there are some signs sometimes that God will give us. And I think sometimes we miss the signs. I don't know about y'all, but I am so ADD all the time. I'm going somewhere and I have a sign I'm looking for on the interstate where I'm supposed to take it and I go straight past it, realizing about 2 miles down the road. Was really frustrating. Y'all got to be honest with me. Have y'all ever passed one? Dang it, I got to turn around, and then pass them the other way going back. Anybody do that? That's one of the requirements to be an RDP. You got to be ADD. Right, but I believe we can miss signs. So in my life, these are not all the signs, but I just want to share a few of them with you that maybe God has opened a door for you to walk through with an opportunity. I think the first sign is it won't contradict his scripture. Listen, if later this weekend you get an opportunity to rob a bank in your little town, and it'll be a big store, probably not a sign from God. It's not going to contradict what he says. So it's got to be something that's biblically based, in my opinion. Okay, number two, it's probably an answered prayer. See, a lot of us in here, if you're honest, if you've been praying for extra income, a better financial situation, some of you have been praying for more time. Some of you have been praying for resources to help that cause that you really feel God's put in your heart. Some of you have been praying for a better boss. And the crazy thing is, you're a better boss that you've been praying. Some of you have been praying for a better work environment. Some of you have been praying for a way to impact more people day to day with what you do. And it's like we're praying for those things. And sometimes I think God has opened the door wide open here to meet all those things. And we just haven't walked through it. So I think we've got to be able to see that and perceive that and recognize that. Here's another sign. You've got to, I believe, get confirmation from keyword wise counsel. See, when I got in the business, I called my mom and dad and said, hey, do an internship with a company called Primerica. They said, great, sounds awesome. Okay, 3.5 months later, I called them back and said, hey, you know the company I'm doing the internship with? I'm going full time with them. I love it. Crusade people are good, big company. She said, that's great, Jerry. What's your starting salary? I said, it's not a starting salary. I'm going to get paid based on the office that I run. I can like manage a team and I'm going to own one day. The average is 6 figures, but I'm going to get paid based on the business. She said, Jared, you can't work on commission. That'd be crazy. I said, well, commission's one way I get paid. That's if I do something personal, but I'll also get paid profit based on the team that I manage. She said, Jared, you can't work on commission. That's crazy. You got to cause. It's like she couldn't grasp. It was either salary or commission. That was it. Because she was an employee-minded person. And so I realized right then, I cannot take advice from people that don't have success in areas. Look, I would call my mom all day long and take advice on raising kids, in relationships, her spiritual walk with the Lord, a lot of other areas. But if I call my mom who's never in a business, never had success in any business, and ask for advice, it's probably not wise counsel that I'm going to get. And so here would be a good test. Go to your RVP at some point and ask your RVP, do you think I have what it takes to be an RVP? I've talked to David about that personally over the years, not in those direct words, but I've had conversations with him where he confirmed in me I could do it. Now, look, if you go to David and you ask him that, he's like, I really don't know if you can do it. Maybe you need to reevaluate me here. Look, find someone that's successful in something. If you want to be a doctor, don't go talk to the person that dropped out of med school. Go find a successful doctor and ask them their opinion. So seek wise counsel. Another sign, you might not have asked for it. This was a hard one for me to wrap my head around, but this is so true. I bet you nobody in here, as you were coming up, or maybe this is the first time in the meeting, you probably didn't specifically pray for, I want to be a regional vice president with a large financial company, own my own business, make six figures passively, have a flexible schedule that helps people. You probably didn't ask for that. And I believe a lot of the answers that God gives us are not the things that we ask for, is to fulfill the things you're asking for. And see, sometimes we don't see opportunities because we were asking for something and he fills it a different way than we were thinking it was going to be filled. So some of you, probably most of you, financial services was the furthest thing from my mind. I'm an introverted person by nature. Finance was my worst class in college. Like, if you'd have asked me 6 months before I graduated, is that what I was? No, that's crazy. And I'm so glad God didn't put that on me at the wrong time, because I think some of you have such big things God's going to do in your life that if he showed it to you right now, that you would freak out and self-sabotage yourself. He's going to walk you through multiple doors, but you got to go through the first one. The second to last one is you deserve it. See, I think if God's going to open doors for you, you got to be able to go to work. I don't think God's walking around with a silver platter saying, you know, bless you because you're nice. No, I think it's, you got to put your hand in the plow. You got to deserve it. And I believe he blesses that. And the last one is to tell if an opportunity I think is scripturally based is a good one, is an answered prayer, is it's going to bless others. So are what you're doing, is what you're doing really blessing other people? Is it going to make ripple effects in other people's lives? And without a shadow of a doubt, here, I can't think of a better way to do it. I mean, we not only get to mentor people in business, help them with their finances, but did you know Jesus talked about possessions and money and stuff like that more than any other single topic in the Bible? Isn't that interesting? It says things like take care of widows and orphans. Isn't that interesting? It's like the stuff that we get to do. There are people that will walk in our office that we get to witness to, talk to, mentor, build relationships with that would never sit through the church. It's interesting. See, this is not my purpose. This is my platform. And some of you, the door has been opened. Some of you, the door will open today. You'll hear speakers today. You're like, wow, maybe I am supposed to be here. And I think that's one thing you got to say. So the last thing I'll leave you with today is this. I love what Mike Sharp told me earlier when he said, one of the things you got to do if you're going to do this and be successful is you got to pray about this thing. You got to know that you're supposed to be here. Because if you don't know in your heart, if you don't get this settled now, it's something, maybe not now, but by 3 o'clock today, you better settle this, right? If you don't settle it and you don't know that you're supposed to be here, as soon as the first roadblock comes up, as soon as the first person tells you no, as soon as the first test you take, you fail it, you're going to think it's a sign from God. I'm not supposed to be here. And that's so inaccurate. He wants you here. He wants to grow you here. And I believe that. And I believe there's so much good we can do. I'm so excited. Hey guys, I'm very excited to be with your team. And I appreciate David and Jill. I didn't even say thank you in front of them, which I should have. Thank you guys for being the leaders that you are. We have literally grown up in this business. And I appreciate you guys working there. So we'll turn back over to David. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, but man, I wrote that speech for him yesterday. He didn't miss something. It's so interesting to hear people like that as they share their story. You know, I'm sitting there hearing my own story and his story. Because, you know, like, you know, when I came here, I didn't know, I mean, I was managing a club in college after 3 years in the military, just trying to figure out my line and where I was headed. And, you know, I had dated Jill, we got married, and I was trying to figure out, okay, here I am in college, newlywed, and what am I going to do? And, but when I saw this business, you know, as I got into it, the light bulbs started turning on, and they just kept turning on. I said, man, I think this is it. I think I've just found my last job. I think this is the last thing I'll ever have to get good at. And now to be here home for 43 years, going on 44 years next year, it's incredible. But I think about Jared's story, you know, Psalms 32:8, the Lord says, I will guide and instruct you in the way you should go. I'll surround you with songs of deliverance, right? And Psalms 32:8, that's, you know, I just look at how the Lord leads, and, you know, and Jared, just like you, this hit all the buttons for me. And like the company continuing to get better, just like this next gen product, this, we all have access to, it's gonna double production. We're gonna double our touring business. Lord knows what we're gonna do in the investment business and everything else that, Mississippi, of course, we're rolling out the mortgages now, and mortgages will get popular again with interest rates and all that stuff. But anyway, so we got so many great things happening. But the other thing that, when I came here, and this is the key to building, okay? That's why you gotta love and care about people. If you really have the heart of a servant, and if you just care about people and serve people, and what happens is, magic happens in business when you create an environment where people find home. If they feel at home in your business, that's when the magic happens, right? And that way you can go out there and just build relationships, like with the Gary Baxter and LaDonna, right? He's got a great story. You're going to hear from him before today's over. He was a lead singer in a rock and roll band. You'll tell that story. I'll let you tell it, okay? And then he saw her. So that's a great story. But anyway, you got to hear his story also before you leave. We're going to hear his story. But anyway, this special, you got Jacob, you got a great story. Now, I'm not going to do
Here. Good morning. So glad that you're here. I want to start just by thanking partners, especially for being here. Does it sound okay? Okay. I was gonna get, I thought about, man, what am I gonna talk about today? Because y'all get my story all the time. But I started thinking about just a partner's perspective. I've been here a long time and I've seen it all, and I'm still really blown away about when I watch what happens when I see couples get to work together and make the business happen. I know couples and partnerships are very diverse. I mean, we come in all shapes and sizes and all kinds of roles. I mean, you've got people that are stay-at-home moms, you've got people that are in their own career, you've got people that are licensed in the field. But what a great stream when you see partnership in action. And I think about how grateful I am. We had unbelievable role models getting started in our nation. And they never portrayed partnership as being easy. And I remember Art getting up in front of everybody saying, I love Angie, but I don't like her. I thought, hallelujah, that's normal, right? Isn't that kind of good when you hear that? But I started out, you know my story. I mean, I was just convinced there was a catch. I was the negative Nancy in the play. I was convinced they was going away this brilliant future in the oil fields, on a pipe dream that had, like Jared talked about, no benefits, no salary, no car, whatever. And I really thought everything about this company seemed too good to be true. And I went to my first meeting to a basketball school in Jackson, and I didn't make it through the whole thing. But, I saw Art Williams came in, and I didn't know who he was. I just saw this guy with a purple maroon looking t-shirt on that had "Do It" written on it. I said, David, who's that guy? And they said, that's the president of the company. I said, these people are crazy. These people are nuts, right? And it wasn't until David had just gotten started, he was just getting going out in the field, and David was a full-time student with a full-time job and treated this like a full-time thing, right? And our first wedding anniversary happened. October of 1979, our first wedding anniversary. Okay, now guys, that's a big deal. And all we had lived on is, we had to live with that horrible joke over and over again. Hamburger helper. That's the only thing I knew how to make. I could not cook. I could not boil water. But David, my mother had convinced David I could by cooking and then throwing flour on me right before he walked in the door. Anyway, so my next door neighbor was a lady named, her last name, everybody by the way from Tucker's Crossing, Mississippi, their last name is Landry, at least a lot of them were. My next door neighbor was a lady named Gwen Landry. Everybody called her Pie because she could cook. This woman could cook. She took pity on me. She said, Jill, this is your first wedding anniversary. This has got to be mine. And, you know, I got the top cake, the top layer of your cake that you saved and put in the freezer for that first wedding anniversary. I had candles from our wedding that I lit. She helped me make Cornish hens, wild rice. I bought 2 bottles of champagne. And David told me I got a couple of appointments, but I'm gonna be home early. I'll be home for dinner. We'll have our anniversary dinner. Y'all, David was late. And I was still really negative about the business. And by the time he got home, I had 2 bottles of champagne. And at that point, I literally just declared, it was like, this is good. I'm gonna win this one too. You're gonna get your butt through college. We're moving to Dallas, Texas, and you're taking that job. My dad's lined up with you, right? I mean, I think about the only thing I was really good at in those early days. Yeah, I got really good at telling David all the reasons he wouldn't get. I remember the first time he told me, and I get emotional every time I think about it. The first time he told me, he said, "Jill, I'm gonna make a 6-figure income here." I was thinking, he is crazy. He thinks he's gonna make a 6-figure income. And I'd say, David, man, you go to USM. I'm doing your homework. You can't buy a tie. You got a card, but when you leave appointments, they have to push your car off to get it started. When that car finally caught on fire, we let it burn. We didn't put it out. I mean, and you're gonna make a 6-figure income. I mean, you know, I just think he drank the Kool-Aid, and as a good wife, it was my job to make sure I woke him up from his dream, right? And I remember very, very hesitantly going to that first convention. It was in Sea Island, Georgia, at the Cloister Hotel. And, you know, I was there finding the catch. I was there as almost like a detective. I'm gonna figure this thing out. And these people are all too happy. They're all making too much money. I know it's illegal. It probably has to do with drugs. And I'm there, I'm gonna find the catch. And the last day, though, they had a partners meeting. And I heard about the partners meeting. You know, I didn't want to go to partners meeting because they told me I had to be encouraging and supportive and leave notes in the car. And I thought it was like Stepford Wives. Right? But I went and I sat in that room. I sat in the back of that room. I listened to Adrian Williams. And you know, it's like when I for whatever reason, you know, you have those defining moments where the light bulb comes on, the aha moments, you know, of her talking about what happens when 2 people in love focus on the same thing. Not necessarily with the same roles, but focus on the same thing, head in the same direction, lock arms and head toward it. And, you know, and I remember, man, just hearing Art say, you know, the company was only 2 years old. And Art got up at that meeting, he said, we're probably not going to make it. But if we do, it's going to be big. But I sat in that meeting with Angela and caught the crusade. And I realized, well, this is an uphill battle. Man, they've taken on a monster in this industry. And I want to be part of it. I want to be part of it. And y'all, it was tough. It was tough. But it was, I think it created these warriors in the business. But anyway, what I want to tell you just real quickly, I've got a few points that I want you, if you're a partner in the room, or if you have a partner at home, or want a partner, so it's a singles meeting, right? If you want a partner, these are just some thoughts I've had. The first thing is I just want you to know you have tremendous value. You have tremendous value. I love the verse that says an excellent wife you can find. Her worth is far above rubies, far above jewels. And you know why do you have unbelievable worth? You have unbelievable influence. Unbelievable influence. We all know that mama ain't happy. What? Even the dog knows when mama ain't happy, right? David and I were somewhere and I saw a flag and it said, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If daddy ain't happy, who cares? I still think it's funny. It's all 30 years ago. But influence, think about this. This is a story as old as time, as old as Adam and Eve. The serpent didn't go to Adam. The serpent went to Eve. Is why? Eve could handle it. Influence, man. I've watched this. This is an interesting dynamic, but you know, Lauren and Paul unexpectedly, our daughter and her husband and their 2 kids and their coffee, sold their home unexpectedly. And it's been awesome. They've been there about 6 weeks, but I'm watching the power of influence. I went upstairs. It was just a random morning. I went upstairs and they left and gone to school. And I walked over, the girls are sharing a room. They've got bunk beds. They've each got a desk. And I walked over, I was just kind of picking up, straightening up. I'd taken something upstairs and I walked over. Finley's 11 years old, Emerson's 7. Tommy's got a 6-year-old leg, but I walked over and laying on Finley's desk, her Bible was open, her journal was open, she could journal. Guys, that's influence. People see what, people do what people see. And how we live is important, and how we live in front of our children is important. You know, and I know that's a family example, but that is true in your team. That's true in your marriage. It's true in your partnership. You have power. You have tremendous power. And this is I think this is a funny story in the Riveting area. This is not really a funny story that happened, but David and I were in a discussion. I call it heated fellowship. There was something he wanted me to do that I didn't want to do. It was about a month ago. And I made a very declarative statement. I said, it's so funny. And I do dumb stuff. Okay. This is not unusual for me. I remember saying, I said, look, David, women did not go to war. Women are not warriors. We're not called to be warriors. Well, you know, think about it. I said, if you look back at the Bible, women didn't go to war. Women stayed home, took care of the kids, and when they counted warriors, they didn't count women. Apparently God was listening to me, as he does. Because the next morning I get up, my daily devotion is on Deborah, the woman. This doesn't have a sense of humor. He does. He just reaches down there with his mom and slaps me pretty hard, right? The commentary said Deborah is one of the most respected women in the Bible. She was a judge, a prophetess, a spiritual leader, a wife, a true warrior. She was a leader in the deliverance of Israel from one of its worst enemies. Okay, I'm like, okay. Lord, I hear you. So then the next day's Monday, and David was on David walks around with his phone on speaker. I love that man. Around with his phone on speaker. So by osmosis, I hear whatever's going on. So I'm like, right? And he was listening to the big hitter call. Everybody knows big hitter call. And y'all, Shelly and Rain is on it. Did y'all hear Shelly and Rain and Rain when they were on? I don't really know Shelly. I mean, I know because we've been in business together. We're not like close friends. I didn't know her story. I've never really heard her story. She's talking on that big hitter call, and I don't want to misrepresent because like I said, when they walk through the room, I'm getting bits and pieces, and then I end up following them around going, like, what is she talking about? Y'all, here's the bottom line of her story. It's basically she married a guy, they had a nice house, she thought everything was great. She kept getting these bills in from the IRS, and she kept acting and goes, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. Turns out he had not paid taxes in 5 years. He'd gone to work with Primerica, he was trying to figure out, he had this huge thing to overcome. And you know what she did? That girl went to war. He started dropping her at the mall. He dropped her at the mall every day for something like 5 years. She would go in and pretend to shop, and she would prospect and get names instead of points. And y'all, they pulled that thing out of the ditch. They got a house that they paid cash for in Manhattan. They just bought a house in Daytona. I mean, that she is just, but she talked about the incredible price. And she said, now I go shopping and I go prospecting still. She said, I actually shop. It was amazing. I thought, because after thinking about Deborah, now here's Shirley, and I'm thinking, wow, the power of partnership. Y'all, she said, look, what can I do with what I've got? I can shop, I can talk, I can meet people. And she went and started meeting people, scheduling appointments, and she totally changed the trajectory of their business. I am convinced that we all have a lot of untapped potential. Don't we all have a lot of untapped potential? And I know it's kind of scary because you got to be a risk taker. David is a guy. The thing Dan Hall says about David all the time is he said he swings for the fence. David swings for the fence. And in closing, I don't know if I'm over time already, I just want to give you a few reasons to swing for the fence. If you're a partner, if you're somebody here by yourself, somebody here for the first time, an agent, swing for the fence. I want to talk to you about why this is an amazing place that Jared did such a great job of talking about. Jared, you did an amazing job. But it's not about, I just want to start by saying it's not about income. It was a shocker for me. My first goal was I wanted a house so big, and I want the closet so big you had to have a shuttle bus to get through. I was kidding. like end of the left browser coming up on the left. Shoes on aisle 7. I mean, I really do. And I've had some big closets, but let me tell you something, I built a few dreams. And that's not it. It's not the treasure here. The treasures here is loving what you do. It's loving who you get to work with. You know, it's what we do for families. And Jared did a great job of covering that. What we do for families is bringing somebody in the business and watching them grow, watching them learn, watching them get that promotion, watching them walk across the stage, watching their dreams happen. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's the treasure. And you need to remember that's the treasure. You know, it's you. It's people that you meet along the way, community, friendships, relationships. I got tickled. Jim House was spending the night with us a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And Emerson walked down the stairs and he was standing in the kitchen. She goes, "Hey, Jim House." And then Jimmy was on the phone with Jacqueline. We had a trip to the beach together and Jacqueline taught her how to count to 10 in Spanish. So I'm like, "He's talking to Jacqueline." She's just like, "Hand me the phone." And she got the phone and she talked to Jacqueline for a minute and counted to 10 in Spanish. This is a guy we've been in business with over 40 years. This is a guy that knows my children and now it's my grandkids. Y'all, here's a place where you can build relationships that go the distance. I mean, I've always said that I feel like if I broke down in any city in America, I'd have somebody to call. I would. I really would because of this unbelievable amount of people that you meet. After convention, we took a group up to Old Edwards, Chris and Lucy and Stephen, Carolyn, and Stephanie and Lawrence. We had so much fun. We started playing cornhole in the backyard. Jimmy Jack. And y'all, we got some out of control. Somebody called the policeman. It was so cool. You know, we had people on the whole game. We had a place where you can build a family, you can build a business, you can have fun. You know, I'm reading a book right now. Somebody told me to read this book. This is going to sound really bad. I'm reading the Alcoholics Anonymous book. I'm listening to it actually, the big book, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the very first of it, you know what they said? They said they realized the secret is that one alcoholic alone trying to quit drinking, the success rate is like never happens. But when one helps another, that's what they realized. When there's two people there trying to do something that's hard to do, but they've got community. Y'all, you know how many times I've said one ox can pull 1 ton, 2 can pull 20? And what can 10 pull? The power of team. Every time David and I have built successfully and grown our business has been when our team felt like our family. Like what we did last night, my kids grew up with just houses full of people and team and people coming over. It's a great. And I will say this, I know relationships. Does anybody have anybody that ticked off at? That can be messy, right? Y'all, we have got to get better at the grace and mercy. We got to get better at the grace and mercy. Man, we've got to let those offenses fall off. We've got to walk in freedom with that. Freedom is one of the best things too. Freedom. I got this one funny story that I loved that I just told it maybe for the first time a couple of years ago because I've forgotten about it. We had just moved up here. Long was probably 2 years old, and when they told me about 5, and we bought a brand new Volvo, and we just went out for a Sunday drive. We lived close to the Natchez Trace. We went out for a Sunday drive, and we kept driving. I'm like, "David, I turn around and go home." David goes, "Let's keep going." I said, "We can't keep going." We kept going. We ended up going to Nashville, Tennessee. We went to Nashville. We had to go by everything. And you know what? When I realized we could do that, we didn't have to call NASCAR. I mean, David probably had to reschedule a few things. We ended up, and then we left there with the Smoky Mountains. We're gone for a week. One of the most unbelievable vacations we've ever had. David and I do that still. We just, every time I turn around, we go somewhere. But it's freedom, guys. One thing you'll have here is the freedom. And my last point is, and this is as I get older, you know, I'm in my 60s now. I know I look 39, but I'm in my 60s. I don't look 39. This is a place where you can make the long haul. Man, you can finish strong. I love the story of Joseph. What a journey. I mean, just terrible thing after terrible thing after terrible thing, but he just kept doing the next right thing. and look at the end of his story, you know. David and I know this is a shocker, David and I went to Home Depot the other day. That never happens. But David and I are in Home Depot looking for bulbs. It's a long story, but anyway, I'm like, what are we doing in Home Depot? Anyway, and we're still there trying to figure out, I've been in Home Depot with the bulbs, is there? Holy cow, they made some different kinds of bulbs. All of a sudden, this old man walks up to us, he's got a Home Depot thing, and he knew everything about bulbs. And he helped us, and then he starts talking to us, and he's 86 years old, y'all. And he said, y'all look familiar to me. I used to live in Bridgewater. He said, I'm 86 years old. He said, this job's the greatest blessing to me because I sold my company. My wife and I downsized, and man, he's a total type. Y'all, he just wants somewhere to go every day. And he's 86 years old. And I kept talking about him today for 3 days. I said, Dave, wow, this place is unbelievable for the long. I mean, we don't know anything about the bulbs, but man, did they would build people over the long haul, because hopefully, even though we keep making mistakes, I told LaDonna this morning, I said, at some point I'm gonna stop making mistakes. I thought I'd be through by now, but I keep making them. But man, at 86 years old, a place where you can finish strong with purpose and passion, making a difference, take people with you. You get to take people with you, still growing, still learning, still making mistakes. What a great place to grow. So I look forward to working with you guys on that. Thanks.
Bill, when she was talking about something that heated fellowship like a month ago, I was going through my mind, what is she talking about? Right? I never know what she would say. But anyway, that was amazing. That was amazing. And it really is a place that you can, I call it aging gracefully, right? What a great place to grow old. I mean, why would a person ever leave this, right? And what we can do. Hey, we got John Williams is here. Is this my wife? Okay, what's your name? Nice to meet you. We're glad to have you. That's great. So John, with Lincoln, great guy. We're so fortunate to have him as a partner. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? I think there's something hopefully on your table that John's gonna go through. Turn it over to John. Come on, John Williams. Good night.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. How we doing? Pretty sure I'm familiar with most of you in the room, but for anybody that I haven't had the opportunity to visit with before, as David mentioned, my name's John Williams. My wife Kennedy's with me here as well today. And we actually have another guest with us, which is Sheila Jelinek, who's from a company called Milliman, and we'll get to that in just a second. But she's one of our great partners, and she's here to help us support this event today. So Sheila, thank you so much. And then, most important, David and Jill, I think you had the opportunity to come out. Primarily is such an important relationship for Lincoln. And we'll talk about Lincoln in just a second, a little bit about the company, how long we've been around, exactly what we do, and the values that we share with PFS. But I want to let Sheila take it away for just a second to introduce herself. And I know the wholesaler model may be new to some of you in the room, but in the wholesale world, we actually have partners that we work with. And Milliman is one of our great sub-advisors that not only helps us run some of the investments inside of the variable annuity platform, but Milliman is actually a company that helps us analyze the risk on our balance sheet and many others out there in the industry. So maybe not so much a name that you're familiar with, but they are kind of behind the scenes working a lot of numbers and helping a lot of companies out there. So Sheila, I'm going to turn it over to you for just a second.
Thank you, John. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all. As John said, I am Sheila Jelinek with Milliman, one of the sub-account partners inside Lincoln, and happy to help with sponsoring this wonderful, wonderful meeting. And while Milliman, as John said, we are actuarial consultants. Comes to numbers and risk management. While Milliman may not be a household name to you all, when it comes to actuarial circles, we are the household name. And I want to say just a few things about Millman and the relationship with Lincoln. But I have to say something personal. I've so enjoyed hearing everyone, Jill, David, Jared, I've so enjoyed this. I'm from Mississippi. I live in Jupiter, Florida now, but I grew up here. I am from Morton, Mississippi, and all my family is still here. So this is a real special treat to get to come back home. I love Mississippi. Probably at some point we'll end up here. So when John invited me to join, I just feel so. Thank you all. Everything I've heard has just been so inspirational and just wonderful. But few words about Millman and the Lincoln relationship, and I'll hand it back over to John. As John said, we are a sub-advisor inside the Lincoln platform. John's probably going to talk to you about some of the annuities and retirement solutions that they offer at Lincoln. What Millman does is we do a lot of the risk management with the sub-advised funds inside those platforms. I'll take just one step back from risk management. You think about where we are in the market now, and you've seen a lot of investment managers go into risk management in the last few years. At Millman, my firm was formed in the 40s, so I've been around for a very long time, being actually a consulting firm. My division, which is based out of Chicago, is Millman Financial Risk Management. We've been managing risk institutionally 1998. And I really always like to highlight that date because we've managed risk through bear markets. We've managed risk through the tech bubble. We've managed risk through the economic downturn of 08. Matter of fact, when you think back to 08 and what the market was, and you think about the annuity providers and the life insurers that were in that marketplace in 2008, they're not all here now. A lot have changed there. And Millman, we were very proud of helping in our risk management. A lot of those companies were from 2008. And as John said, we're still helping our clients institutionally manage risk as well as the retail clients from a day-to-day investment risk management overlay standpoint. So with that, I just want to thank you for including me. It's great to be here. Happy to partner, happy to help in the way that I can. John, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vila. And, I think that's a great thing to highlight on because like David said, you are in business for yourself, but you have partners here to help you. So Millman is one of those great partners to us. So, when it comes to doing client events and things of that nature, come to us and seek out that support. Lane Fournier back here, I think we have probably the most successful client seminar event that we partnered together on about, 3-4 months ago now. And I work with some other firms out there, and I can tell you that this guy put on the best event that I've seen. So you do have partners in the business. Now let's get right into it. So anybody newer to the business who maybe just is not familiar with Lincoln Financial Group, we've been around since 1905, so we're 117 years old at this point. We manage right at $300 billion of clients' retirement assets across America. And a couple of key pillars of our business lines, we've got the life insurance, the long-term care, the 401k market, and then specifically where we work with Primerica is going to be on the annuity side, providing a couple of different solutions, which we'll get into kind of towards the end. But since we partnered in 2012, we now manage, and you guys have entrusted over $8 billion of clients' retirement assets with us. So again, we are so thankful for that partnership. And when it comes specifically to the relationship, let's face it, Lincoln does business with a lot of companies out there, right? We're a publicly traded insurance company. We're part of the S&P 500, and we work with over 250 broker dealers out there. Do you realize that Primerica is consistently a top 3 firm for us in net new asset flows every single year, year over year? And some of the recognition that we receive in the industry, you take just a simple one that we've been very, very proud of, Lincoln Level Advantage, an index variable annuity that has literally been the #1 product, not only just on your shelf, but in the industry. And you guys are the #2 firm in terms of new net assets going into that product each year. So we get to receive that recognition because of the entrust that you give to us with your clients. So we thank you so much for that. Now, what we're going to do is, you can see the titling of this, Stabilize and Stability. Anybody looked at the market recently? Even if you're newer to the industry, you don't have to be a market genius to realize the ups and downs that we're going through. The simple thing is volatility is back, right? So when we look at it, first thing I want to do is go through an agenda. And just a quick practice management piece. If you are not using an agenda with every single client meeting that you go into, you're missing the boat. Because what it does is it gives you the ability to pre-format what you want to cover with that client during your time together, right? Because think about it, how many times have you been busy, tried to just kind of fly by the seat of your pants? You walk into the meeting, you think that you covered everything you want to, and then you walk out and say, dang it, I wish I would have been able to cover just that one other thing that I wanted to put in front of them. And maybe that might be the only opportunity that you have to get in front of that individual. So what this does is it gives you the ability for the roadmap for the conversation, but also in addition, you could share that with your client before the meeting and say, hey, do me a favor. Quickly just look at what I want to cover in our time together tomorrow. And do me the favor of if there is something that is top of mind to you that is not on this agenda, write that down so that we can cover it in our time we get together. And I promise you, it will elevate your business by using that. So what I want to do is, first off, what we're going to go through in the Stabilize and Stability campaign is really just a feature of what we call the informed financial professional. And let's face it, in today's environment, I would say that most of our clients that we're working with almost have access to more information than we do, right? We don't ever want to go into a financial conversation on the investment side that the client may ask us a question that we have no idea what they're talking about. So what we've done is we have continued to build out resources for advisors through a site called the Informed Financial Professional. If you're taking notes, write this down. It is literally all real-time industry updates, not even specific, annuity specific, but industry regulation, taxes, things of that nature. We publish that all in one area. So we're going to go through that. But when you think about the investment landscape, it doesn't matter if you're talking with an annuity client, if you're talking with a mutual fund, managed account, whatever it may be. Your clients are typically going to go through 3 life phases, right? Garrett's covered a little bit about it already, but you think about it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the wealth accumulation phase, right? We're working, we're contributing to those retirement accounts so that we can one day get to the income distribution phase. We're now going to segue from, again, accumulation to distribution and using those retirement dollars to supplement our guaranteed living expenses. And then lastly, the thing that we don't like to think about, but the reality is it's coming, legacy. So how am I going to transition my assets once I pass away to the next generation or whoever that may be? Think about this opportunity right here. You know, many of you have heard me kind of quote some of these stats before, but when you think about wealth accumulation, do you realize that right now there's over $9 trillion sitting on the sidelines, not earning anything, because that's the investor that cares more about losing money than they do about what? Okay, so if you're sitting in cash, help me with the math here. If you're earning 0% on your money, but inflation's 9.5% across America, are you losing money? The stock market, does it guarantee losses? No, right? So we've got to help those individuals that are still in the accumulation phase with the reality of, if you're not ready to use that money yet, we need to have strategies to where you can both grow your money. But if you're getting closer to retirement, we also need to protect that money, right? Then you think about income. If you had to guess right now, what would you say the average 65-year-old's retirement account across America had a balance? Throw a number out there. Jim, you've heard me quote this stat a lot, and you're still not getting it right. $209,000. $209,000 is the average balance of the retirement account. Probably a little less now with the market being down, but the retirement balance of a 65-year-old. Think about this kind of silly equation. If you take a married couple eating 3 meals a day, 365 days in a year, and let's just say on average, they're in retirement for 20 years. That's 43,800 meals they're going to consume throughout retirement. And what did we leave off of? The dollar amount, right? What if we use the number as conservative as $5? 43,800 times $5 means that you're going to spend $219,000 alone just literally eating McDonald's every single meal, which then you're not going to have a 20-year retirement, right? 209, 219, we've already kind of created a deficit. When you think about healthcare for a 65-year-old married couple, it's about 250,000 they'll spend through the span of retirement. We are literally almost at $500,000 in what we call guaranteed cost. Why in the world would you not supplement that with a guaranteed income product like a traditional variable annuity income rider that gives them the ability to not worry about two questions that they really don't have the answer to? What's the market going to do while I'm in retirement? And how long are we going to live, right? And then lastly, legacy. I mean, guys, this is where most financial professionals, doesn't matter what firm you are in, this is where they miss the boat. And it's the biggest opportunity out there. $32 trillion is set to be in motion within the next 7 years, from one generation to the next. Why do we oftentimes miss out on the beneficiary money? Because we don't have the relationship before the client passes away, right? If I'm waiting until the day that I fill out the claim form to come in and get my money, and I've never met you before, chances are I'm probably already working with what? Another financial professional. So therefore, if we are trying to work smarter, we've got to retain assets when our best clients pass away, and having conversations about legacy planning with your existing client base is the way that you're going to do that. And it's simple. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, are you aware of something called the Secure Act, where things are really changing about how retirement accounts go to the next generation? They're not familiar with it. You know, I always ask the simple question, when do we take required minimum distributions? 99% of clients still think it's what age? 70 and a half, right? 99% of clients are still thinking that. So they have no idea what happens when the money goes to the next generation. But think about how simple the question would be of, hey, can you do me a favor? I want to get together with your beneficiaries, whoever that may be, and we need to sit down and have a conversation about how you want this money to transition to the next generation in the manner that you intended to do so, right? Guess what word you never had to use in there? Give me a referral, right? We know that advisors doesn't, again, doesn't matter what firm you're in. The number one topic that they always want to know more and more about is how do we get better at asking for referrals? You can use tactics like that without even ever having to use the word, right? So with all that opportunity out there, I'll leave you with this as we kind of get into the presentation. When you think about the industry as a whole, 24 months ago, there were 396,000 licensed securities reps across America. Today, that number has dropped down to 217,000. 396 to 217 in a matter of 24 months, when really the need has never been greater to have conversations with your clients about financial planning and wellness, right? So when we get into it, we're going to go through a couple quick updates at the end when it comes to the actual product information. But when we look, Tommy might have to help me with this. Oh, there we go. So what stabilizing stability is our most sought after marketing piece that we have ever come out with. It is completely product agnostic, client friendly, client facing, and you can use this with any individual that you are sitting down with. But what it is it's timely information to be able to provide to them to simply provide reassurance. So take a look at a couple of topics here. The media makes no mark on markets. So we know that depending on which news outlet that you watch, that's going to determine what the economy is probably going to do over the next 6 to 12 months, right? Because what's that one R word that all media is concerned with? Ratings, right? So let's go through a couple of key topics here. One, very timely. You've got to remember that historically, the markets have not belonged to a political party. Two, if you are concerned with everything going on right now, you need to take a step back, look at where we've been before and how we've gotten to where we've come if you stay the long haul. Three, don't do the wrong thing at the wrong time. You look at all these pretty charts that all the investment companies come out with, and you know that when we see those long-term averages, they look great on paper. But the question is, do most of our clients keep pace with the average? No, because we do the wrong thing at the wrong time because we're investing with our emotions, right? And then lastly, what can we do to proactively prepare? Because during times of volatility is actually the biggest time of client acquisition. Why is that? What's the number one reason that clients leave their financial advisor? The C word. It's a lack of communication. Take a look at this nugget in the top right hand corner. do you realize that this is the value proposition that you have the ability to provide to your client by getting into the financial services industry? Because when polled across America, investors that worked with an advisor versus the one that did not, at an end of a 15-year time period, the one that worked with the financial advisor had over 270% more in account balance. That's the proof of the pudding right there. So a couple of things. Markets don't belong to a political party. Jim, don't challenge me on this one right here. But what you can see right here is went back since the 1960s. You got JFK listed over here in the corner, and then all the way to the very end of last year. What you're seeing is the approval rating of the individual in office at time. So the investment we're looking at is just simply the S&P 500. And if you put $100,000 at the start of JFK's term, and you let that money just simply ride, you did not make any changes, you did not make any additions, you just let it ride up until the very end of last year, you would have an ending account balance of over $10.5 million. I mean, I think back to every silly Christmas present that I got, and I wish people would have just put money in the market for me because of what that thing has done, right? But if you see right here, the little red line, that's the approval rating of the individual in office at time. So we know that that's going to go through the ups and downs, but what you see is the trend historically of what the market's going to do, right? It produces the long-term growth. What you see over here in this box in the red, you've got to realize, Mr. and Mrs. Client, if you're concerned with who's in office, what the midterms are doing, you're kind of forgetting that, you know, despite over the past 10 years, the S&P's averaged over 12.5%, despite 2 party changes, 3 president-elect changes, all which, by the way, at the bottom right there, you can see all had under 50% approval ratings in office, right? You got 48% with Biden right there. I think that's a little bit lower right now, but now, secondly, when in doubt, zoom out. Does anybody have that client that every single time something happens in the media, they're picking up the phone, calling you and saying, what do you think we should do? And the very funny thing about that is it's usually your clients that have 5,000, 10,000 invested with you. It's not the one that has $1 million. But a little bit different of a time period right here. So if you went back since December of 1971 and you go all the way to 2022 and you invested only $10,000 in this example, you can see that your balance would be over $2.5 million by simply just set and forget it strategy, right? But what we're showing you is when in doubt, zoom out, right? Because look at all the crazy economic events that we've gone through during that time period. And you still had over $2.5 million on an original investment of 10 grand, right? I mean, that's the value, that's the principle of investing, is having that long-term objective outlook and not worrying about trying to actively and tactically trade and move the money markets at the right time and get back in. It just doesn't work. This is the way to achieve these types of outcomes, by staying invested, right? Same time period, same investment, but what's the I word that's on everybody's mind right now? A mixture of both. I would say interest rates as well. But the reality is, yes, this is power up your purchasing power, right? Because what this gray line is doing is instead of just looking at the economic events, it's actually showing you the inflation rates across America. So if you go, you can see at the end of 2022, the most recent event where we had the large spike with Russia invading Ukraine, right? So when we look at it, you got to ask the client, well, if you're so concerned with the market, where are you going to go right now to outpace inflation? Can you go to the bank and buy a 9.5% CD right now? No. Okay. What about bonds? What relationship does bonds and interest rates have? Inverse, right? What kind of interest rate environment are we in? Rise, right? And it's going to continue rising. The Federal Reserve has to do that to try to ease inflation. So we're in a little bit of a dilemma. We've got a volatile equity market, bond market's just as volatile, which that's first time in a long time, over 20 years, that literally the Barclays Ag is almost as volatile as the S&P 500. And then we can't sit in cash. We've got to remind them what this has produced over the long run. Now, when it comes to timing, this is where we show the client about why you don't make those changes during times of uncertainty. You want to stay the path, you want to stay invested, right? So what you're seeing is 1992 up to present day, S&P 500 calendar year returns. So what the market had done at the very end of the year, which you can see in the blue line, is a majority of the time positive, right? And then if you look at the bottom, that's the most intra-year decline that would have taken place. So use 2003 as an example. While it looks great to be able to say we would have had a 26% rate of return on our money, would we have been the client that would have stomached when the market had dropped out by 14%, which was the worst day of the year? Or would we have then made a change because we just simply couldn't afford any more losses? We let our emotions get the best of us. We picked up our phone and we said, hey, David, move me out of the market. I just can't do this anymore. And then guess what? We're going to sit on the sidelines and we're going to wait until things look great again. And then we're going to try to get back in. And that's really, really when we heard our return impact over time, right? Do you like buying things on sale or do you like to buy things full price? Because what we need to remind our clients about right now is the market's on sale, right? Now is the time, if you have the ability to do so, to be able to try to get more shares, right? Take a look over here at this right-hand corner. Do you realize over this entire time period, if you missed the 10 best days, you had a 50% difference in your account balance than the person that was able to stay invested the entire time period. Literally 1992 to 2021, 10 days determined a 50% difference. And last thing here, when we get on the market side, think about this. If you went back since World War II and you looked at every single quote unquote bear market, so larger than a 30% decline, and you go all the way to present day, you can see that on average, we're going to have a decline by about 32%. But if you look over here to the return that would have taken place 1 year later, 3 years later, and then a 5-year period ending later, you can see all the averages are positive, right? So you've got 17.5, you've got 36% and 61%. Think about an opportunity for those of you that are familiar with some of the solutions. Think about a product like Lincoln Level Advantage. You have the ability to show the client this information and say, first of all, again, it's a buying opportunity, right? We want to get in when the index is as low as possible. But the second thing is, take a look on average of what we're going to actually be able to accomplish on average 6 years later using a solution like this. How does 61% rate of return over a 6-year segment sound to you? Pretty good, right? It's over 10% a year. Now, lastly, proactively prepare. If you are not calling or if you have not heard from your best clients up until this point, now is the time to be reaching out. Even if they're not concerned about what's going on out there, it's a simple phone call reminder to say, hey, I just wanted to revisit, see how you and your family are doing, make sure that everything is still the same of when we originally set these accounts up and established them. But also, as we look into the future, 10 years out, 15 years out, is there anything that we need to do within your planning to make sure that everything is tailored to that end goal, right? Think about that communication piece. I work with over 2,500 financial planners across the board, and you know that when you're an advisor and you get that transfer out form from a client that you did not hear from, chances are somebody had a little bit better communication than you did. Otherwise, that client probably wouldn't have been talking with you, right? So now, when we segue into some of the solutions, what do we have to offer for some of these things that we've gone through, right? The concepts, we know they're there, but we've also got to be able to provide the solutions that give the client, most importantly, peace of mind to sleep at night, right? So think back to those opportunities we talked about. Accumulation protection, income protection, legacy protection. When you start thinking about some of the product offerings, I mean, this right here has been our #1 product launch in the history of Lincoln selling variable annuities, which has been for over 50 years. And I look around the room and, you know, some of the partnership, you could literally take probably 5 or 6 of you, Don, Lawrence, Jared, Jimmy, Lane. You could take 5 people and over probably the past 2 years have been able to invest over $20 million with Lincoln. So again, it's such a phenomenal partnership, but think about it, guys. If you had to describe the most ideal investment out there, and we polled everybody in the room, everybody would say something a little bit different. but I guarantee it would all be among the same three things, right? I want as much growth opportunity on my money as possible. I want as little risk, my principal, as possible. And then, oh, by the way, how much do I want to pay for it? Nothing, right? We're in a very fee compression environment. So therefore, I don't want to pay anything. When you think about a solution like Lincoln Level Advantage, guys, look at the caps, 500%, which the best 6-year segment has only done 236%. So you basically get all the upside, right? Worst case scenario, the worst 6-year segment in the last 50 years, do you realize was only down negative 18%? So the worst case scenario is Lincoln protected you from the first 20% on the downside. You got all your money back. And then, oh, by the way, how much does something like this cost you? Doesn't cost you anything. There's not one fee associated with a product like this. So the innovation that is coming to this product and continuing to evolve, we have some very exciting enhancements that are going to be taking place in February of next year on this solution right here. But think about some of the key differentiators. We realize that you have some other competitors that have the product. If you look across the board right now, I never sell on rates, but 99% of the time, we are fortunate enough to be the highest rates out there. But then you think about some of the other things, the options for protection and growth. You got 10%, 20%, and the most conservative option, which no other provider offers, is a 30% downside. And guys, with a 200% upside, that's a conversation that a lot of people have gravitated towards recently. Then you think about the investments. Everybody's got the S&P, everybody's got the Russell, everybody's got the EFA. But what about the addition of 2 actively managed indices on there that you also now have the ability to diversify between? And take a look at capital strength, guys. The proof is in the pudding. Clients have saved over 500 basis points, which is 5% this year on the downside, because of the actively managed component of the First Trust capital strength. And then lastly, let's talk about something that's new. And Jared, I hope you don't mind me using this example, but this is a contract that they helped one of their clients with. And this is as of this year. This contract was opened in 2019. So when we think about a solution that we sell on the premise of downside protection, we know a lot of clients think, oh, that protection's every single day. No, that's at the end, right? But what we've done at Lincoln is we've tried to develop technology that helps you have those back-end conversations about when they call and they say, hey, David, my account's down 10%. I thought you sold me this on the premise of protection. All you have to do with a product like Lincoln is say, pull up this statement right here that literally updates every single day. Do you know another provider that updates a statement every single day? No, they all only update 4 times a year on their quarterly statement. But take a look at how easy this conversation is. This one still looks pretty, right? It was sold 2.5 years ago, coming up on 3. So the index is actually still positive. But take a look down here. This shows how it was allocated. So you can see they put $892,000 in the account. It's grown to over 1.1 million. I think at one point it got up to over 1.26 million. But if you look at the bottom, you can see the protection, you can see the rate at the time that it's sold. But take a look at this index performance. So again, this looks great, but what about when it doesn't? You can show them, hey, if it's down negative 15%, guess what that bucket over there where it says your performance would show? 0. You are not down at all, Mr. and Mrs. Client, and it is as easy as pulling something like this up to show to them to be able to easily have those conversations. Now, one other thing I want to mention on the topic of Lincoln Level Advantage. We have always sold on the premise of one of the key differentiators is we know it's a 6-year product, but hey, let's face it, what if we want to capture our earnings before the end of the 6 years? You have the ability with Lincoln to get out of the index at any given point. You can capture them pre-6 years. That was a great feature that a lot of advisors like, but with you guys doing 1 million things in a day, guess how many people actually utilize that feature? None, right? Because you would have to manually go back in there, look at the contract, call into Lincoln. You just didn't do it. But we're going to automate the process for you. So right now, part of the pilot program is performance threshold alerts. All this means is you go into your annuity book of business with Lincoln, make sure your annuity notifications are turned on, and we are now going to be automatically alerting you when your client's account reaches a certain percentage of growth, so that if you want to meet with that individual and take action because the time is now, maybe you see times of volatility coming up, You can do so at any given point. It's gonna send you an email, it's gonna send you a text message. It is as easy as that. So right now, part of the pilot program, it's gonna be when the account reaches 40%. Come February, you're actually going to be able to pick levers on each individual client so that you have the ability to have that conversation. And guess what? Even if you don't take action and you don't move it out of the market, it's a great time to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, your account's up 40%. This thing is going exactly what we wanted it to do. Do you have any more money, or do you know anybody else that could benefit from a solution like this? So a key accumulation solution. And then when it comes to the income side, in about 2 weeks, the income benefits are going to be completely revamped. All of the income distribution rates are going up, which is a great result of that 10-year treasury continuing to be on the rise. Our launch of the Max 6 rider on Primerica's platform, this has taken the shelf space by storm, guys. The ability to have a completely open architecture rider that generates over 7.5% income at age 65. Think about those individuals that you know are segueing to the distribution years, right? I'm now ready to use that retirement account to start supplementing for some of those guaranteed costs, like we talked about. The example of the 2 times 3 times so on and so forth. How do we get that covered? We don't know how long they're going to live and what exactly the market's going to do, right? You take a 65-year-old married couple right now. You know, on average, there's a 50% chance that one lives to 95 years old. So we're now having to plan for clients that may spend more time in retirement than they did what? Working, right? Financial advisors 20 years ago weren't thinking about that. Now we've got to use the solutions that give us the ability to diversify the client's portfolio and add that layer of protection to it. So what I'll end you with is, don't get comfortable in just 1 or 2 of those areas like Jared said. You know, he talked about all the different business pillars, but it even happens when you get specifically into one, like in the investment, right? Even on the annuity side, we'll see that an advisor may get just very comfortable doing one type of product. Maybe it's a variable annuity with an income fund. Maybe it's a level advantage type product, but you want to make sure that you're familiar with the concepts and the value add of each one of the solutions out there, because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? We need to make sure we're diversifying and most importantly, protecting our client base. So on behalf of everyone at Lincoln, thank you guys so much for your continued partnership. David, I want that first.
We're glad having you and your partner in Kennedy. Glad to have you here with us, and that's great. And a great product, great adjustments. You know, again, we're just getting better, right? Our partners are getting better and looking for ways, you know, to be able to go spread good news to people. That's incredible. Things are coming down the pipe. Okay, we're going to do a little recognition real quick, and then we're taking a break. It's going to be rapid fire, quick. But if you have passed in the last couple of months, if you passed, anybody's passed the life exam in the last 2 months, stand up. Right, payday means born. Okay, so congratulations. And then I've got 2 people I know that have passed. Chris Tawalegi, where's Chris? Okay, he's passed the SRE. But also John Holchak with John is that our so congratulations. Is anybody else passed the securities exam in the last couple of months? Any exam? We got Shannon coming down. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, come on, you got it. Yeah, so, yeah, hey, they can part. Okay, I'm getting all the hand. Good. Okay, go ahead, Steve. Thank you. Okay, yeah, Leslie got all, yeah, okay, he was there last night. Okay, good. So Leslie got all licenses, all three with 90 days. Right, within 90 days. So he's on the same. So Leslie, congratulations. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, so, but we also have just, a group of people we want to recognize, some future RVPs that the last couple of months have really, stepped up and have some good things happening. And, so this first one, so
I'll explain what there's a couple to go out.
oh, okay, yeah. So we have a little card for you and we've got a little, little money in here from Jill and I. And, you know, it's not a large amount, but it's enough to go have a nice lunch and, you know, and really we'd love for you to take your significant other or partner, your gift card and go have lunch. You know, it's a great time of year to kind of evaluate where you are and dream and like, hey, you know, talking about 2023, where are you headed? What's your game plan? So anyway, so we got that. So as I call your name, come up and we'll do that. Olson and Holly, Palmia.
Awesome.
Which one? Oh, come on up. Where's Austin? Yeah, okay, 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 there it is. Okay, but also he's fully licensed. You got separate groups and yeah, congratulations, man. Proud for you. Okay. And, but anyway, Rector's not his mom, Renee, congratulations. And, but also, you know, over 8,000 income last month. Charlie and Kathy Moran, come on. Charlie. Well, also, we've got, been seeing this guy's name, okay? Works with Marlon Eccles, Cleveland Green. Come on up, Cleveland, come on. He's got 8,500 in premium, 2 new recruits and, doing good. Mario Edwards with Llewellyn Gray. Mario, come on up. Okay, he's in, okay. Okay, you give that to him, okay? But Mario's got some great things happening. A former coach, Daniel Bailey, okay? Yeah, Landry and Daniel, you know, they work together and we're trying to figure out which one's the best at the business. They both do it, so.
I get it.
But, you want them, which is, okay, no, okay. But, just promoted a regional leader, right? And, made 9,000 in income last month, okay? And then, working with Jim Hass, Tevis and Gwen Vandergrift. We did, over 300 million in new investment, securities volume, 5,000 income last month. Lane and Holly, okay. Lane did over 600,000 and new securities volume and 15,000 in income over the last couple of months. It already makes 100 grand a year. Okay, also working with Chris Benjamin Hall. Come on up. Living on your time and you know, doing you know, building a solid business. And then okay, also with Llewellyn, Wanda Adams. Is Wanda here? Yeah, here. Wanda's in real estate. She did like a 5,000 in premium last week. Okay, said 10 appointments this week and all that. I'm just hearing all these good things about Wanda. Congratulations. And then okay, so and then we have Mark.
He's not here.
He's not here. Okay, Chris loves you.
You can get his car.
Yeah.
Recognize
Yeah, congratulations to Mark and we're tracking. Okay, then RVPs, I'm gonna recognize the few RVPs. Don and Dolores Picardo. Don, come on up, buddy. Yeah, and Don. You know, doing the impact, but, doing the term, the 3 new recruits, recently, and, Lawrence and Stephanie Lindsay, come on up. Lawrence and Stephanie. They've got people, over 10,000 income, and, just, have some great things happening. Securities, lots of security. Also Marlon Eccles, Marlon, come on up, buddy. Marlon. Yeah, really good. 10,000 in income. And so that's awesome. Dominic and Stephanie Bureau, come on up. Congratulations. They're doing the 33,000 in cash flow in the last 60 days, so that's incredible. Also, Steve had, I don't know if they're on Zoom, but Steve had, they had a group coming in from Phoenix, Arizona. They got on the jet yesterday morning, they had like 7 people, whatever, flying. And so the captain comes on and says, well, the flaps on the plane aren't working, so we're not gonna take off, which is a great move, right? So anyway, they make it to Houston last night and couldn't get in here today. So then they had to just fly back to Arizona. So, but Steve and Carol, Steve, man, just a great people. Anyway, he was gonna talk about the new mortgage business. He's in Arizona, they've got the mortgages, so he was gonna talk about that, but we'll do that. Chris and Lucy. He was, Richard Wesley, they were the #1 base shop in the Hurricane last month. They did over 23 by 20 last month, and just you'll hear from him. So actually, we're all great. We're all trying to do, and trying to do 4 years ago, 11,000 security volume, but 13,000 cash flow. Congratulations. Also, Daniel Vick. Daniel, come on with us. We'll hear from him right before we close, but earned 20,000 in October, but he's headed toward 250K, right? That's where they're headed. But also, I tell you, Hoot Houghton, Hoot and I met through James Ranch. He's not part of a hierarchy, but we feel like they are. They're just family. We went through James Ranch together. His son, my son Tommy. So we spent a week with this guy in the cabin, which was a trip. And he had this little pink blanket. We were in bunks right next to each other. I mean, just a little sissy blanket. I can't. And it's supposed to be like this rugged outdoorsman. Has this little felt blanket, Anyway, who come on up? Yeah, and then, also, I tell you, man, just incredible guy, Jim and Jack Pass. Y'all come on up. It's 52,000, 1.8 million securities total volume. And so anyway, just it's exciting to see what they're building. And then also this guy, double stud, Jared Nelson. Jared, the last 60 days, made over 90,000 in income. I mean, just security. I mean, just hitting on every cylinder. $1 million earner, no doubt about it. So anyway, congratulations to all of you. But listen, that's the past, right? What we need to focus on, what do we do now? Where are we going? We're gonna, take this to a whole different level. But let's do this. Let's take a 15-minute break. We've got some snacks out for you. Water, I think there may be some coffee left or whatever. So 15-minute break, and then we'll crank back up.
You guys hear us all right? See the green on the bottom left? Yeah. See the green on the bottom left? Get out of the way. See? Look at the bottom left.
Yeah, we hear it great, Tommy.
real fast, but we got a powerful, from now till 1 o'clock, right? We're gonna blow it up. But if, in between speakers, okay, you need to get out, we'll just start the line. And, but anyway, okay, so we got Gino and then Llewellyn gonna do some fundamentals also. Really get into some fundamentals, how to fine tune. So, anyway, let's go ahead. Jim Hass. Everybody knows Gino, I'm just so too proud of him and Jacqueline, what they're building, the team they're building. And, it's incredible. So, go, give Jim a hand.
They find me on the goals and stuff before we get to that. Fine. Here's my power. You know, you think about this business, you know, you gotta be, to win in this business, you gotta be tough. I mean, you really gotta be tough. And you gotta be a winner when you walk in the door. Most people don't know how tough they are. Most people don't know that they are a winner, okay? And thus it puts doubt in their mind, it puts fear in their soul, right? The reason most people don't make it in this business is due to fear, but it's mainly due to bad decisions. You know, y'all gonna have to make a decision today whether you're gonna win or whether you're gonna lose. And it's nothing but a decision. Life is nothing but decisions, right? You make some right ones, you make some wrong ones. And a lot of people in Primerica, when things aren't going their way, they make a decision. And you know what that decision is? To walk out the back door, right? And when the right decision that a winner would make is to work harder. But most of them just quit working. So I want y'all to think about that when we go through this today. You know, a winning decision is attendance. Well, you can check that one off. You're here today, right? But there's a lot of people that aren't here today, right? That were going to come. And then winning in this business, the number one thing is to have the proper amount of appointments every week in the right market. I'm going to go through a presentation that will show you how to close 90% of everybody you meet with, okay? But it's got to be in the right market. So it doesn't matter how great a presentation is if you're in the wrong market, if they have no need for what we do, or they don't qualify for what we do. And non-qualifying is what? No money. Going to see broke people. Okay, that'll put you out of business. All right. And so going to the wrong market. There's only 4 things you got to do in this business. 1 is attend, you've done it. 2 is to be coachable. Understanding coachable, understanding the person that is mentoring you has your best interest at heart all the time. They want you to succeed. They want you to make more money than they make, right? Why? Because they get something called an override. I mean, trust me, they're giving you the right information. You just got to use it. And then you got to have a little common sense. What would be common sense? Well, you got some people talk about negative crap all the time. That's probably not going to make it in this business. Okay. I mean, you need to be talking about positive stuff because this is a business of attraction. You can't be talking about what went wrong. You can't be talking about the client you didn't do business with. And I need to be talking about the 9 clients you did do business with, right? And then you got to have what we would consider a positive attitude. Okay. In other words, you got to be sharing good news all the time. What does Dave say? You take bad stuff and you what? Pass it up, right? You don't pass it down or out. And anyway,
let's talk about two presentations. One is an investment presentation. Most people in this room do not know how to do an investment presentation. If you're going to see someone that's 63 years old, they're probably not interested in the 6-page presentation. You know what I'm talking about? They're probably not interested in compound interest, right? Because compounding for 3 years, not much, right? 2 years, not much, okay? They're probably not interested in the theory, decrease of responsibility, right? They're probably not interested in anything in that 6-page presentation. All right, so what would you do? A securities presentation is nothing but asking questions. You're there for a reason. They already know you're there to talk about investments and stuff. All right, you might say, like John went over the 6-year plan today, right? But everybody presents it in a different fashion. Let me ask you, Ellen, if I could show you a plan, okay, that has a great rate of return, right? You want a great rate of return now. And a plan that no one's ever lost any money in. And it's tax deferred. Nobody likes paying taxes, right? And it has no fees whatsoever, so you get the full return. Okay, so that sounds like La La Land, right? No fees, great rate of return, no one's ever lost any money, right? And you could buy it right now for a 16% discount. Is that something you'd be interested in? Yeah. Right. Well, the Russell's down 16% year to date, right? And here's the number one thing. The market goes down. What percentage of the time does it go back up? 100%. So it's pretty much a guaranteed thing. Well, when you say, I mean, you can't sit there and say it's guaranteed, but it pretty much is. All right, so you're going to get 16% bounce. And the Russell was invented, I think it was in 1978. And they went back and they back tested the market. That means they went 6 years into the future. From January of 1978, 6 years of the future. February of 1978, 6 years of the future. They backdated every period they could. And with 10% downside protection, no one ever lost any money. So what you're doing, you're recapping what you presented at the beginning. You with me? And 99% of the time, it made money. That's about as close as you're going to get to 100%. Okay? So you're with me. No one's ever lost any money. 99% of the time, they made money. The average rate of return was approximately 11% per year. Okay, and I'd call that a great rate of return. And it's tax deferred. And no one's ever lost any money if they died either. Why? It has a death benefit. The worst case scenario is you get the premiums paid in, or you get the account value, whichever one is greater. Okay, so no one's ever lost money in the event of death. Nobody's ever lost money in the event they lived, right? 99% of the time they made money. Okay, and there's no fees because you're using the return of the index. Now, why do I use the Russell? Well, because if you use the S&P, what is not in the index? What is not in? Dividends, which is a pretty good percentage of the return, okay? But the Russell, more mid cap, small cap, doesn't have that big dividend, right? So you're pretty much getting all the returns, okay? And I've never sold one other than the Russell. Now, a lot of people in here have, and hey, listen, they may be right too. You know, a lot of you, what's the S&P down this year to date right now? It's a great buy also, right? So anyway, so you present it and then you prove it. Okay, and then you say, is this something you'd be interested in? I'll get you a proposal, right? And in most cases, you don't even need one. Now, that's a sales deal. What's another thing? What do you use it for your emergency fund? I've got a little account that averages about 7 to 8%. What rate of return are you getting? You know, because they're going to say, well, I got it at the bank. Well, what rate of return are you getting on it? Oh, 0.25%, nothing, you know, and stuff like that. And so wonder if I could show you how to put that money in an account that earns 7 to 8%. We could link it to your checking account. In case of emergency, we could transfer it in there in 3 business days with no transfer fees. And is that something you'd be interested in? Okay, well, let's put a proposal together. And we'll get back together. If it looks good to you, we'll take care of the paperwork. So you got to go through and you got to close them just like you do on an insurance deal, right? Same one. Everything's closed. Now let's do how much time have we used up so far? 10 minutes? All right, let's do the presentation. You got it? Now, on the front, on the opening sheet, on the front deal, and I know everybody may use different presentations, but you're gonna get my drift as I go through. And you're gonna say, hey, Mr. Klein, I want you to look at this from 3 standpoints. 1, is this something that would benefit you and your family? 2, is this something that everybody needs to see when we're going through this? And lastly, do you know anyone, when I'm going through this presentation, that could do what I'm doing? Okay, so you go through it. Now, let's go to the front deal. That's not the front deal. The first page.
That's the beginning of the 6th.
That's the first page, second page, but the second one's not the second one.
6 pages.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Who else says it?
Okay, look, you gotta get their, look, folks, you gotta get their attention, right? You've gone in there, you spent 5 or 10 minutes making a friend, right? But you gotta get their attention when you start the presentation. So right up at the top, you see the stuff at the top? I don't do any of it. None of it. I just put a 5% on there. And you know what this represents? 5% of the population at age 65 is financially independent. 1% is wealthy. Now, I'm not saying everybody's goal is to be wealthy, but you ought to have a minimum goal to be financially independent. Wouldn't you agree? And they're all going to agree with you. So when we're doing this presentation today, it's all about getting you into 5%. Now, let me give you the definition of financial independence. It's where you accumulate enough money that the passive income off the money will replace 100% of your working income. Okay? So there was an article in Time Magazine, oh, it's been years ago now, that said a person had an 85% better chance of achieving financial independence if they had a written plan. You know what percent of the population's done a financial plan? 3%. Kind of close to the 5, right? Now, would you not agree if you had an 85% better chance of achieving financial independence, shouldn't everybody do a financial plan? Absolutely, right? So we're going to be talking about that as we go through it. Now, right here it says your money. Let's just start right there. Most Americans work for money, agree? Okay, there's a few trust papers running around, right? I'm not one. You want? Okay, we better go through this presentation, right? Now, if you're working for money and you got any money left at the end of the month, what do? You go out and you loan it to an institution like a bank, and then the bank pays you a little interest for the use of your money, right? And then they take the money on average, and they take 50% of the money and they loan it out to others at higher rates of interest. And they make something called spread, the difference about what they're paying you and what they're getting for the money, right? If they're paying you 0.25% and they're getting 13.5 on a credit card, they just made 13.25%. Then they take the other 50% of the money and they go out and they invest it in the global economy. So rule number 1, all money is invested. The only determining factor is it the individual investing it or is it the middleman investing it, right? Is it the banks, the credit unions, who's investing it? Now, the key to becoming financially independent, 50% of the equation, is to invest the right amount of money But the other 50% of the equation is the investment in the right place. And that's what we're gonna talk about today, putting your money in the right place. One will not work without the other. All right, so you look at the bottom, you see the difference. You got a 3% rate of return, you got a 9% rate of return. And if you invested $200 a month from age 30 to 67, the new retirement age, okay, you'd have $162,000. $162,000, 3% would generate you $4,500 a year annually. Who's gonna retire on that? Nobody, right? Nobody. That's worse than Social Security. Okay? Okay. So, but at 9%, it grows to $714,000. Now, this is what you gotta take into consideration. It's the same $200 a month. It's the same 37 years, but you get 700 versus 162. Are you gonna be able to retire on 700? No. No, you're not. I'm just saying 700 more than 162, right? We've got investment accounts that have averaged 12%, not for just 1 year or 5 or 10, but for the past 84 years. So you can get a good return on your money if you put it in the right place. Okay? And we'll talk more about that. Let's go to the next page, Tommy. All right, on the top, they're talking about a rule called the Rule of 72. You ever heard of it? 90% are gonna say no, and 10% are gonna say yes. And then you just ask the 10%, well, how does it work? Well, I don't remember. Okay, so we're gonna go over it, okay? All right. Very simple rule. If you're earning 3% on your money, you divide it into the number 72, it goes 24 times. So what they're telling you, at a 3% rate of return, your money will double in value every 24 years. Here's the first question. How many 24-year periods do you have in your life? Right? Not that many, right? But if you could earn 12% like that investment I was telling you about before, 12 goes into 72, 6. So your money doubles in value every 6 years. Now let's take a scenario. Let's say old Bob has $10,000. He goes down to the bank, he gets a CD, he gets a 24-year CD. Okay? I don't think it exists, but it might. All right. So he puts it in there, it grows to $20,000. So at the end of the 24 years, he wants his money back. So they give him his $10,000 profit and his $10,000 original investment. Now, according to the Federal Trade Commission, the average successful bank the past 24 years has averaged 12% better return on their investments. How is that possible? Well, who issues credit cards? Large banks. What rate are on credit cards? Are they low or are they high? They're high. And if you, whatever bank you do business with, you can request an annual report and you can look in there and you can find out on average, they take 50% of the money and loan it back out. 50% of the money invested. This is no theory. This is exactly what's going on. So in that 24-year period of time, it grew to 160,000. But they got to get Bob his money back, right? So they got to give him 20,000. So what did they make? 140,000. Who put up the 10,000? Bob. How much did the bank put up? Nothing. They made 120. Bob made 10. Who got the better deal? So if your money's over there at 3%, and I can show you how to move it over there at 12%, is that something you consider doing? Absolutely, right? All right. So let's go to the next section. This is where most Americans get taken advantage of. Okay. This is called life insurance. Hey, Tommy, go back. Okay. No. We're back to the page we're on. Go. Stop. What you doing? Screwing with me now? All right. Now they call this life insurance. In reality, there is no such thing as life insurance. Okay, it's death insurance, right? They don't like to call it death insurance. It makes it tough to sell, right? Gary, how much death do you want to sell? Now, I mean, All right, now, all the consumers, okay, tell you, if you need life insurance, buy term insurance. But all the insurance agents tell you if you need life insurance, buy cash value insurance. Now, the guys that don't make anything off of it are telling you to buy term insurance. But the ones that do make money off of it are telling you to buy cash value insurance. Why is that? Well, it's because insurance companies pay insurance agents a lot more money to sell cash value insurance than they do to sell term insurance. And why do they pay them more money? Because it makes the insurance company what? More money, right? It's not about right, it's not about wrong, it's all about money. And because of this, most Americans are uninsured because stuff is very expensive. So what we do is we show people how to buy term insurance, like all the consumers say, take the difference that we save in premium and invest for the future, like that 12% investment I was talking to you about. And if you do that, in the event you live, you got 10 times as much money. In the event you die, the family's got more money, okay? Because you got the proper amount of coverage. So when you buy term insurance, there's really only 3 factors. 1, you get the right amount. 2, you lock it in for the right period of time, okay? Because term insurance is for a period of time, a term of time. You don't want to go out and buy 25-year term if you need 30-year term, right? Because at the end of that 25 years, the price is going to go up and make it cost prohibitive, right? So you want to make sure you lock it in for the right period, and you want to be with a credible company, right? That'll be around to pay the claim. And you want to make sure it's at a decent price, right? It's competitive in the marketplace. All right. So let's go ahead, Tommy. Our philosophy is you need insurance when you don't have any money. Now, when is it you don't have any money? It's when you got them things running around, right? Most expensive thing you ever have in your entire life, kids, right? You got, that's when you're gonna have debts. That's when you're gonna have a mortgage. And that's when the loss would be the most devastating. Now, on the other hand, the goal is to be self-insured. How do you become self-insured? You accumulate money, right? Right? So if you get out to retirement age and you got $4 or $5 million, you don't need any life insurance. The goal is not to do the artificial stuff. It's to accumulate the real stuff. You only need the other until you accumulate, right? Does that make sense to you? Right? All right. So how we do all this is through a financial plan. Okay. And what it is, it's like a time machine. It shows you the future. If you continue to do what you're doing today, it shows you where you're going to be at when you're age 60, where you're going to be when you're age 65. Could be a pretty picture, or it could be an ugly picture, but it doesn't matter. Okay, because if it's an ugly picture, we can change it now. All right, and we can design the pretty picture. And what it does, it shows you how to get out of debt faster than what you're presently doing, spending no more money than what you're presently spending. 90% of the time, we can get you out of debt sooner. It shows you how to get the right amount of coverage for the right period of time. It shows you to the penny how much you need to invest for the future. Because see, I ask people all the time, when do you plan on retiring? 65. What are you doing for retirement? Oh, nothing. Okay, I mean, hey, look. Or you ask them, are you sure you're putting the right amount of money away? Are you sure you're putting money in the best possible place you can put it? No, they don't know, right? It's not what they do for a living. All right, so is there any reason, if you have an 85% better chance of achieving financial independence, that you would not do a financial plan if there was no monetary fee whatsoever? No, right. All right, so who's got the best family? Give them the input sheet. Now, let's think about the F&A. That's your diagnostic tool. That helps you to do the best possible job of planning. That tells you where every dollar they have is. See, a lot of people go into a household and they make recommendations. They don't even know what people have. They're trying to sell them something that they don't even know what they need, okay? But that financial plan shows what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and the corrections that need to be made, okay? Our goal is to do a financial plan on everyone that needs a financial plan. Am I sitting there telling you that 62-year-old, I went and saw her, they don't need a financial plan, they're there, right? But the 30-year-old, he needs a financial plan, she needs a financial plan, right? You want to increase the volume, the size of your term insurance sales, you do a financial plan. Because if it comes back and says they need 1.6 million, you sell them 1.6 million. And you say, well, I don't know, man, that'd be $300 a month. You understand, most families spend 1.5% to 2% of their income to insure their income. Right? I mean, if you wanted to insure anything, it would be your income. Okay? I mean, so life insurance is probably one of the most important insurance there are, because your income pays for your health insurance. Your income pays for your auto insurance. Your income pays for everything. So if you want to insure anything, it'd be your income, and you want to insure it for, what did I tell you earlier? The right amount, right? You got to have the right amount or it won't work. Okay? And so then I do a financial plan. Now, let me tell you, in its entirety, how much time I spent in that house? Less than 30 minutes. Why is that? Because if you go camp out in somebody's house for an hour and a half, 2 hours, try and get a return appointment. If you get a return appointment, you can set up the time to come back for the return appointment. They're probably gonna cancel. Right? I said, man, I can't take 2 more hours that way, right? I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. And then what I'm gonna do is I give them a homework assignment. Okay, I go through the deal, this is what you need to do, and I set up a time to come back and collect the data. And you say, well, that's an extra step. Well, let me put it to you this way. If you're doing it this way, you know what you're gonna get? Something called referrals. And when they talk to the clients, they're gonna talk to their friends about financial plans. The financial plan they get. 85% better chance of being financially independent. You're gonna get some actual referrals that you get actual appointments. Okay, it is one more step. Now, I want you to think about it this way. How many appointments did you go on last month? Why don't you look at your schedule? I think you have time to do that extra step. You got, I think you've got plenty of time. Yeah, the average part-timer should be going on 4 new appointments a week, right? Full-timer should be going on 8. Okay, only difference is the number you go on. And if you're doing the right way and you close 90% of them and the premium is much higher and you take care of all their investments, you probably make a lot more money. Okay, so you go on the first, you get the commitment. Go on the second, you get more commitments. You go back, you close them, or you do it on Zoom. Dominic, I bet you 50% of this point is on Zoom, right? Still, virus is gone and everything, but it's time efficient, right? Me, I like to get in front of it. You know, that's me. But I'll do it on Zoom if they live in New Jersey, right? You ever been to New Jersey? I don't want to go back. I anyway, folks, that's all I got. Thank you.
Great insight. Words of wisdom, man. That's incredible. Okay, so I think we're gonna shift gears. Well, more of the same fundamentals. Llewellyn Gray, dude, Lou, what was that, 8, 9 weeks ago, we had that event. And man, he just, he knocked the ball out of the park. So appreciate him being willing to share today. Lou Gray.
All right, thank you so much. David, it's always a pleasure to get in front of you all up in here when it comes to being at a primary event. And the reason why I say that is because I grew up here. I was 19 years old when I came into the business. Someone talked to me while I was working at Walmart as a cashier, and they told me that I can come in and possibly get some licensing that can add quote unquote to my resume. Going and meaning that I was in college down there at USM, University of Southern Mississippi, for those who do not know. I was basically, excited about it simply because I was growing up over here in Jackson, and growing up here in Jackson, I'm gonna say this now, is now I'm from the part of the neighborhood that was poverty stricken. All right, now raise your hand if you're familiar with those type of neighborhoods, or come from an area like that yourself. Anyone? Okay, great. All right. Well, but this is the thing. Where I grew up at, wasn't nobody talking about making any money for real, and no one was talking about going into business for yourself, having professional licensing, etc. So upon being talked to about the possibilities of having that, if I came here, it was a light bulb ordeal for me. It was a no-brainer. I came here, got my licensing, and then I dipped out. All right, when I say dipped out, 2 years I had a license and didn't come to a training, didn't come to any of the events. I just thought, number one, it was gonna add to the resume. So whenever I sat down in front of my potential future employer, me being able to say that I have a life insurance license in the financial services industry was gonna make me more of a viable option to go work with these folks. But let me tell you something, all right? After a while, I started looking at these folks here, I remember, now, Michelangelo, of course, you all may know, and well, I'm sure most of you all know, that's David's younger brother. At the time, he was making $500,000 a year, 5 kids, he was married, his wife stayed at home, and he was away at the time because he was helping, I think with his kids, with his football and all that stuff. And when I saw that, I was blown away. And then I decided, you know what, I want that for my family. All right, I decided to get saved here. I became a Christian here. I got married here, the whole nine. So it's a big deal for me to get in front of you all and be able to control the content when it's delivered at a meeting. All right. And so upon doing that, though, check this out. I was, dating my wife, Cassandra, and I'm nothing without her, okay? I tell people all the time whenever I share my story, all right, she was the one that was paying all the bills for me while I was, sucking. All right, when I say sucking, I really mean sucking, all right? And when I say sucking, I'm talking about being terrible at the business, all right? And I was afraid of talking in front of people, afraid of talking to people. I cared about what people thought about me. I was afraid of rejection, everything associated with winning here in this business. I was the direct opposite. And so the thing is, Cassandra now one time told me, hey man, you need to go get a job, you need to leave out your law. She didn't do me like that at all right? And so at that stage of the game, she was paying all the bills, but now we flip roles now. She's looking at me when the wheels start rolling now. It's part-time. Y'all follow me on that? But this is the thing that I'm looking to share with you all. That David asked me to make sure that I talk about fundamentals and I talk about my thoughts on the next gen product. All right. And this is the thing. Now, the next gen product is fantastic. But if you're not fundamentally sound, like what we just got through witnessing here with Jim, see now, if Jimmy didn't show you all, well, Mr. Hass, if he didn't show you all the reason why he's $500K earner or whatnot here, I don't know what is. Now, I was noticing when I was sitting here, I took a page and a half of notes based on those closing questions, the things that he was saying. When he was like, how does that sound? When I get back here, we're gonna take care of the paperwork. See, those little things are what make the big things happen. And I looked around and I noticed that a lot of people weren't taking notes. And I noticed too, when Jared was talking here at the beginning of today's session, he talked about the importance of taking notes and paying attention to those little things that's gonna change the trajectory of your career here in the business. All right, so speaking of trajectory of career in the business, check this out. Y'all know I got 3 kids, and I have a blended family. So my oldest boy, he's 19. And my oldest boy, now at one point in time, I was talking to Miss Sheila right here, and he came in late for his curfew. All right, when he came in late for his curfew, I had an opportunity to do something that I always wanted to do. Now, see, I'm a James Bond movie fan, all right? Now, one thing about in those James Bond movies, one thing that I don't know if you noticed is the time in the movie when someone comes into their apartment or their room or whatnot, and they don't notice that he's there, and they cut the lights on, and James Bond shows up. Y'all understand what I mean? And so I always wanted to do that because I thought that was the smoothest thing ever. So on this particular night, I'm looking at the time. Time was set for 12 o'clock. This is curfew. All right, I was telling Miss Sheila, I said, you know something? 99.9% of the time, if my son comes to me and he talks to me about what he wants to do, where he's going and things of that nature, I'm going to let him stay out longer than what I set the time for. Every rule in my house is negotiable. And the reason I have it that way, because I want to teach my boys the importance of going and speaking up, talking, and asking for what it is that you want. Because if you don't ask for what you want in life, you can't get anything that you want. And in this business, if you don't have the audacity, I think that's the first key right there. If you don't have the audacity to go up to someone and talk to them about what it is to do, you have no chance of being able to get where you want to go. So check this out. I'm looking at the time. It's 11:50 something. I'm noticing. I said, oh yeah. And I looked on his phone. I got the little Apple ordeal. So everyone in my family, we got the find your phone thing. So I can see where you're at, all right? And so I noticed he wasn't here. He was nowhere close to my house at the time. And so I was looking, I said, oh yeah, it's showtime. All right, so I, cut all the lights out. All right, cut all the lights out. And, I'm sitting in the living room, you know what I mean? Time went by, I said, okay, perfect. So I'm chilling, and then I noticed, I see the lights. I said, oh, okay, all right. And so I got the lights off, and he comes up. And then I'm saying, cut the lights on, like, oh, what's up with it, baby? I'm here, baby. You thought you made it, didn't it? So he was out and things of that nature. And check this out. Upon talking to him, he was like, well, you know what, Dad? I don't believe my curfew should be at this time. All right. And I said, oh, okay. All right, come on, have a seat. I'm a mom fan too. You know what I'm saying? Believe you have to sit down. I said, yeah, come on, have a seat. Let me talk to you. So upon talking to him, I was like, all right, so now let me get this straight. You violated first, but then decided that you want to talk to me about what should and should not be taking place. And he did his thing. I said, no, son, it don't work like that. Now, see, the thing is, life at times is going to be tough, but the thing is, don't wish for it to be easier, just wish that you were better. All right. And so this is the thing I have in store for you all today. All right. Now, I told you all about the fact that I was terrible here, scared, the whole night, right? I talked to you just about the fact that my son came here late for the curfew and all that. He had all these problems once the rule was enforced. And then I talked to him about, okay, all right, it's going to be tough sometimes, champ, but this thing we got to get done. All right. So what does this have to do with these fundamentals here? All right. Let me tell you something. All right, now, if you're not good at the fundamentals of the business, you have absolutely no hope, okay? No chance. But on the flip side of that coin, the cool thing that I like about it is that we have all the chance in the world if we decide to do the right things with the time that the good Lord has allotted us. All right, and if you think about it, I was reading this book here. It's a wonderful book. I highly recommend it. It's by Cal Newport. Cal Newport, he's this guy, I think he's some young, good-looking white guy, I know him. But he's a teacher at Yale or something like that. He has no Twitter, no Facebook. He has no social media or anything like that. He has a New York Times best-selling book, and it's called Deep Work. Okay, and in that book, Deep Work, he talks about being focused in a distracted world. And he said that the superpower in today's economy is the ability to focus. All right, and if you can focus and you can pay attention to things without distraction, be in a meeting like that Jared talked about being present. All right, now be somewhere and be there, then you have the advantage on everybody. All right, now I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, but when I read that book, I said, you know what? If I can't do anything, I can do this right here. I can acquire the skills necessary in order to be able to win in this business. And notice that I said skill. All right, now the thing about skills. Now, skills, those are things that we can acquire through making sure that we do the things necessary day in and day out to work on those so we can develop neural pathways in our minds so we can, be solid on it, all right? And if you think that's not something that's, that's available to us, think about it this way. Let's say that raise your hand if you have kids. You don't have kids, we have kids, right? All right, imagine your kindergarten child goes to their first day of school and then come right back and say, hey, Mom, Dad, school ain't for me, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't put out for this right here. Reading and writing, no, that ain't for me. What will we do 99.9% 99% of the time, if we're a good parent, what would we do? Tell that, what would we do with our child? We're going to encourage that child to continue to go to school and learn the skills necessary so that they can be functioning adult in society. Don't that make sense? All right, so we can do that all throughout school, right? And then now I think here in Mississippi, I know for sure, they have a 3rd grade exit exam. Now, if you don't pass that exam, you don't go to the next what? Grade. So if we don't get the certain grades while we're going through our scholastic endeavors, we don't get to the next grade. So we can do that for 12 years throughout our whole scholastic endeavors, and then some of us go into college. Now, I did go to college. I do talk about the fact that I quit my job and I quit college to come do this here, but really and truly, I was on academic probation, man. You know what I'm saying? So I had so we go and we expect our children to do these things. And you expect our children to go get tutoring. You expect our children to stay up and get the grade done. You expect them to pay attention in class. You expect them to take notes. But then once we get done with school, all that stuff goes away. We're like, oh, I'm done with school, so I don't have to improve anymore. Then we come to a business like this, and we think that, oh, I don't have to improve anymore. You either got it or you don't. All right, well, look, talent is something that's God given. You know, I cannot teach you to be LeBron James, 6'8", 6'9", 270 pounds, running and jumping the way he does. But I can teach you how to dribble a basketball. I can teach you how to shoot. I can teach you how to get your form right. I can teach you how to do those things. And through repetition, we can get there. See, if you notice, you know, the founder of our company was he was a football coach. And one of the things that he always talks about was the blocking and tackling of our business. And if you think about it, most folk, when it comes to the people who do well here, those are folk who understand skill acquisition. They're your ex-players, you know what I mean? You used to have to, ball players who used to have to go to practice and things of that nature. They're your school teachers who went to school to learn how to teach somebody in school. Don't that make sense? But then we come here and we're like, hey man, you know what? I'm just not a salesperson. I'm just not a numbers person. That just ain't me. You know, I listen to the Lincoln dude come up here talking about all that stuff. Nah, that ain't me. Y'all follow what I'm saying? But then we'll make our kids do the things that they gotta do to get where they wanna go. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I pray that I'm saying something that kind of get you to think about this stuff here as I dive through the last part that I have here for you all. Does this make sense though? Yes. I think perspective is everything. So when I used to come to these meetings, I used to get inspired. I used to be excited. I used to leave out here and go get rejected, curl up in a fetal position, and go start and be like, this stuff is terrible. It's terrible. It's bad. It's depressing. So I vowed to myself, if I ever get faced out, if I ever get it, this is gonna listen to me, if I ever control the content of the room, I'm gonna make sure that I do my best to get the folk in here. Every last one of you all can do this business if you decide to. Okay? Every last one of us. All right, so check this out. It's about 7 solid fundamentals that you have to have. And I'm gonna name these here, and then I'm gonna name a couple of intangibles, all right? And then these are the intangibles. Notice I said skills at the beginning. We've established the difference between skills and talent. All right, this business has nothing to do with your talent. It actually has nothing to do with how long you're in the business either, if you don't work on your skills. Does that make sense? I heard a speaker say, it ain't the time that I put into, it ain't the time you've been here in the business, it's the time you put into the business. Y'all follow me? All right, so here's the skills though. All right, now check this out. I asked one day, I had everything changed for me because at the time I think I was making around $35,000, $40,000 a year. I was struggling on the people, I was feeling real down about myself because I'm seeing people coming here, they blow past me like I'm standing still when it comes to, but see, it's the thing, compete but don't compare. Some of these folks have some skills already in a prior career that you didn't have, but you're gonna have to develop here. I heard Jesus talk about all the time. He says it all the time. I was a big project. He was like, man, something was wrong with me. He said something. Y'all. So but this is the thing. All right, so check it out. So every time I do that, I was like, hey, All right, let's dive into this thing and let's get better. So check it out. So you gotta have some people skills here. You gotta have some mental toughness skills. You have to have some organization skills. I think Jared Hinton-Pound is one of my favorite RVPs because he's so organized. When it comes to the environment, recognition, and things of that nature, he's fantastic, like top 10 when it comes to that. That's somebody, he's somebody that I pay attention to when it comes to that. Now, Mr. Jimmy, you know what I mean? He specializes, first of all, he's a great salesperson. He had closing questions throughout the whole presentation that he gave. But check this out, he specializes in making something that's complex, very simple. That's a skill I think you need to have. I was talking to Chris last night. He talks about that. He's going to be talking about that here next. So I think you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to make the complex stuff very, very simple. I think you have to have self-discipline. You have to have some time management. You need to be able to speak. You know, like folks tell me all the time, like they said, hey, you knocked it out the park, man, speaking in front of folks. But check this out. I've been in Toastmasters for 16 years, man. I practice public speaking every single week. And I've been doing that for 16 years. I'm supposed to get up there and kill it and be looking at y'all like I said. This is what I'm trying to get y'all to see. Y'all follow me? All right, so but look, it's the thing. You gotta want to do it because I keep Toastmasters in front, in the RVP chat before nobody show up. Y'all follow me? I tell people I have agents. I say, hey man, you need to get in Toastmasters so you can work on your public speaking skills, interpersonal skills, because those are things you gotta have, right? Gotta be able to speak in public. David is here speaking in public. Don't that make sense? All right, so you gotta have that. All right, and then last but not least, of course, here you have to be disciplined and you have to be consistent. All right. Now, if you can do those things, couple those with these 7 fundamentals that I'm going to cover, then I think that you have the recipe for success here. Not only in this business though, it's in any business. Okay, anything in life. My son, I make that older boy here, and I told y'all about. We go to the gym 6 days a week, early in the morning. It's a requirement because he lives in my house. Now I laugh and joke all the time, but I'm a serious parent. I don't play no games when it comes to my parents. All right. So I make this boy come to the gym, right? And he's in there with me, and I make him read 5 pages a day of a book of my choosing. He can't leave the gym until he finished. He finished his first book ever the other day. And I said, hey, son, man, what you learned from the book? He started talking about the book. I said, no. What you learned about the fact that you knocked that book out? And he said, well, I noticed that, it's just little bit by little bit. I ain't have to sit here and read the whole thing. I said, see, son, if you really think about this, man, that's everything. See, I don't care how big the book is. I can hand you the Bible, man. You ain't gonna sit there and read the whole Bible in one time. You read it bit by bit, okay? All right, when it comes to your health, bit by bit. When it comes to learning a skill, bit by bit. If you do that day in and day out over a long period of time, no one's going to be able to catch you from a basically competition standpoint. Y'all follow me on this here? Told them that, and I'm telling you all this here. So first thing first. All right, number 1, when it comes to these 7 fundamentals, you got to be able to prospect, okay? Prospecting is getting names and numbers added to your list. All right, you have the cold market prospect when you can walk up to someone, talk to them, develop a relationship enough. We just heard Jill talk about, the Narains, how she was doing. That's a form of cold market prospect. But then you have warm market prospect. Those are people that know, like, and trust you. Okay, you put them on a list, and then you reach out to them. Right? All right, and then of course you got referral prospect. The latter 2 are my favorite. That's why I specialize in getting in the warm market and making sure I'm getting referrals. Fundamental number 2, you got to be able to set appointments. I hear people say all the time, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can say the wrong thing to the right person. I use this analogy all the time. My wife, Cassandra, only woman I've been with for 16 years, right? Love her to death, wonderful mother, everything, all right? Wonderful wife, just the best ever. Right now, she's at a football game. She's the concession stand person. She's the football nurse. She's right there out there now, right? Now, if I try to set that move with her, she's the right person. Y'all agree when I say she's the right person? Y'all know I can say the wrong thing that can mess the whole mood up. I can mess the mood up. Y'all follow me? So if you think of it, if you don't know how to set appointments, right? Then there's no way that you can kneecap to do what, Mr. Hatch has got me going over, which is fundamental number 3, giving an effective presentation. An effective presentation is a question-oriented presentation that basically leads folks to being a client, a recruit, a referral base, and some combination of the 3. The thing I love about this crowd here, we have a blended, diverse way of doing business in here, all right? But we have folks that are successful in all of the different ways of doing business. Every last one of them are pretty solid around doing an effective presentation, prospect and set appointment so far, you know what I mean, and so forth. I'm not to mention it. Fundamental number 4, gotta be able to give overcome objections, okay? People are gonna have objections. They're gonna I wanna think about it. I wanna pray about it. I wanna go holler at folks over here. I got an insurance agent already. I have some. You have to be able to overcome the most common objections. I'm not a salesperson. It's one of the ones I have a lot of times. I'm looking at this business. I can't talk to folks. I was talking to this girl just the other day, and by the way, overcame her objection, and I did her fast start and got her started and settled. And she was like, man, I just ain't good at talking to people. I'm not a salesperson. I'm scared. I said, you know what I told her? I said, you're supposed to be. I said, why would you feel like you can come over here and do everything that I do with no training or anything? I said, because let me ask you something. You were scared the first time you drove a car, right? And she was like, yeah, I was scared. I said, yeah. I said, now think about it. Now you probably was excited when you saw everybody driving, in our society. But let me ask you something. The first time it was time for you to get on the interstate, that was scary too, wasn't it? Absolutely. But see, now I see folk all the time, and you got this example from Jared, folks be afraid to get on the interstate and drive, but then now they're on the interstate driving, putting on makeup, eating food, switching music and everything like that, because we've gotten proficient at driving. So if you can do that, you mean to tell me you can't get proficient at saying the proper words in the right order to the right people enough times a day so you can get what you want? You gotta be able to overcome objections. Fundamental number 5, have to master the products. Now, if you don't understand the products here, I like to, pretty much point in term insurance and investments. But see, this is the thing, you need to know that stuff like the back of your hand. It's not so you have to tell the client, because 9 times out of 10, if you do what Jimmy did, there's a strong possibility that you don't have to go over all that stuff. But let me tell you something, if you're afraid right now, check this out. Fear jumps out of the window when fear jumps out of the window when knowledge comes in the door. So if you got the knowledge coming in the door, there ain't nothing to be afraid about. You see, let me ask you something. Can you tell when somebody's confident when they're talking to you? Do they have to tell you everything that they know so that you can just feel it though, right? All right, so mastering the products, knowing everything about the products, the ins and outs, ups and downs, that'll put you in a situation where you can exude confidence when you're talking to someone. All right, fundamental number 6. All right, you have to be able to recruit across Zoom or recruit across the kitchen table. When you recruit people, you have to get them to understand that you're the person that's going to get them where they want to go. They have to feel that, all right, and then it brings right into fundamental number 7. You have to have a smooth way of doing the orientation, or let's say a fast start. You have to master the fast start. And the fast start, in my humble opinion, is a million different ways of doing it. But that one is all about trust. Okay, you got to get that new recruit to trust you enough to go back to fundamental number 1 with you, which is putting together a prospect list. Right? Then they have to watch you, or you have to teach them fundamental number 2, which is giving, setting appointments. Then you have to go with them in their market to folk and do an effective presentation. And then you have to do fundamental number 4 while they watch you. You have to overcome their cousin's objections in front of them so that they can see, number 1, how receptive people are to the message that we bring and how this thing actually works. Fundamental number 5, you have to be able to go over the benefits associated with voting with us, as opposed to if you're staying with whom they're deciding to do business with, or deciding to or just becoming a client altogether. And then of course you need to recruit some folk for them. All right. Fundamental number 6. All right, and you recruit those folks, then you're gonna start those other folks off on fundamental number 7. Now, this is the thing I want you to ask yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, if you had to rate yourself when it comes to those 7 fundamentals, where you at? Now, if you're over there thinking to yourself, man, you know what? Hey, I'm a 2 at getting prospects. All right, it's 2 ways you can look at that. You can look at that like, oh, yeah, this ain't for me. You know, I just ain't good enough. This ain't for me. You know, that's for those talented people. Or you can take heed to what I've shared with you all today and look at it like, you know what? Yeah, I got a shot because I need now what's the antidote? Okay, I need to go find people who are good at those certain things that I'm working on. The late great Kobe Bryant, man, was one of my favorite athletes ever, right? That guy, he said that when he was coming up in his high school years, he said all right, so one of the things he said, he was like, you know what? He said, I wrote a menu of all of the skills that I need to have to be the most unstoppable player that I could potentially be. And he said, so I wrote all those things down. And he said, and I broke it down to where I am today. And I decided to start working on those things. So when people come to me and say, hey, Lou, man, you reading a book? Yeah, I'll read a book for sure. I used to start off 5 pages a day. All right, I used to start off 2 pages a day because I used to go to sleep whenever I started reading. All right, but then you got to, build that up, man. And now I read 50 pages a day, and I try to knock out a book a week because the average book is right about 200 pages. And so if you do that, you'll put yourself, hey, that's 4 books a month. So just imagine in a year's time, you've read 4 books a month in correlation to each one of the skills that I talked about. What if it's on positive thinking, skill with people, time management, y'all follow me? Salesmanship, all those things. And the cool thing about it is each and every one, no matter, who you are, what you look like, how old you are, anything like that. See, none of the things that I mentioned today has anything to do with your family, your background, where you come from, anything like that. It's all on what you're going to do in those small pockets of time when we have the choice to either, watch a video on the new Life product, or am I going to watch Netflix? Am I going to watch, am I going to read 5 pages, or I'm going to read 5 pages on my social media feed? The people say, I don't read, but yes, you do, because you like my status. My status was a whole paragraph. I mean, you read the paragraph and you liked it and say, yeah, and you commented and say, yeah, I'll put you Lou and all that. Now, you reading that stuff, but you ain't gonna read nothing on parenting. You ain't gonna read nothing on being a better spouse. You ain't gonna read nothing on being a better leader. Read nothing on, don't that make sense? So I pray today that you all, have heard me when I say that, just hear my heart when I say that, is that every time I get a chance to speak, I just want to make sure that people feel and understand that, you know what, I may not have it right now, but over time, if I just change my habits and do the small things day in and day out, I can, get where I want to go here and build whatever type of business I want to build. But if you believe that, that's the reality for you. But if you don't, we already know what the reality is for you there. So at this time, I'm now return control of the meeting back over to my man back.
Good guy, man. That's good. And it's just amazing, when you just have that mindset, just say, look, I'm going to keep getting better. I'm going to just master this, And so anyway, hey, keep it going. Chris, you come on up, buddy. And Chris Tavalei, him and Lucy, just great people. But let me tell you, like Chris last month, 20 by 20, so over 20 recruits, over 20K in premium. But I really believe what they're building will be 100 by 100, and really going to build a great hire. Give Chris a hand.
Thank you. Hey, first and foremost, man, I don't ever take this opportunity lightly. Always gotta give thanks for thanks to God. Always gotta thank God for the opportunity. I told myself when I was speaking in front of one person or in front whole crowd like you guys. Gotta thank God. He gets the glory. David says, God doesn't get the glory. We ain't doing it right. So God gets the glory. So first of all, I'd like to thank Jill and David for inviting us to come out and be a part of this awesome event, man. And being around this surrounding room of, man, you are who you surround yourself by, man. Jared Nelson, I know you don't know me, but I've been stalking you for the last couple of years. You're on the David Lyman Martin. And I've been watching your numbers, man. Great talk, by the way. That was some good stuff. I'm gonna have to steal some of your slides from you a little bit because I'm not too technical savvy. Jim and Jack in the house, they're like my aunt and uncle. I get a call from Jim every now and then. I'm doing everything compliant, make sure I'm doing everything compliant. Jim keeps me on track. And Llewellyn, we just met last night, but this guy's gonna be a beast, man. After my talk here, you'll see why he's gonna be a beast. But also, like, I would like to tag to what Jill had talked about earlier. It's all about a team, right? You're not here without a team. If you're here by yourself, go find a team. So I'd like to give a shout out to my team. First of all, my boss right here, my wife. And I'll show you a little bit of my story, why she's really my boss, besides a good man upstairs. So Benjamin Hall came from here from Georgia. And I'm gonna show you, I got some of my guys on Zoom from Fort Worth, Texas. And some of my guys on Zoom. One of my ladies just passed yesterday. Check this out, give you guys hope. She works 7 days a week, 2 jobs. She just passed her life exam yesterday. Her numbers are 9 recruits and 6,800 in premiums. So if you work a job, don't let this lady out work you, man. Works 2 jobs, no excuses. Now we're just barely getting started. She told me the other day, she said, Chris, I haven't even started working there. 9 by 6,800. She ain't started working it. Imagine, watch what she's gonna do. Okay, Diana Hirsch, she's on Zoom and she's listening and learning from everybody. I got a team out there in Reno, Nevada. They're coming out. Power Zoom, man. You can just sit up in your right next to my little 4-year-old and run a business. So I wanted to get started and share with you a little bit of my story. Some of you guys have heard, but give you guys hope. If you guys haven't heard of it, man, this gives you hope, really. So I came to this country, beautiful country, when I was 9 years old. Spoke no English, and island called Tonga. Nobody knows where it's at. It's a dock on the globe, like literally in the middle of nowhere by Australia and New Zealand. If you guys ever heard of it, been around that area. Came here when I was 9 years old, back in Tonga, we're a third world country, and you have nothing but brown skinned people. So when I came to the United States, I was terrified of seeing white people. Literally, it's terrifying because we don't have none back home. So I had to go to a class called ESL, English as a second language. For those of you guys that are from another country, English is second language. So I didn't want to go see the white lady at school. So every day I would walk home, I would go steal my neighbor's newspaper and I would self-taught myself how to read. That's how I learned English, stealing my neighbor's newspaper.
Hey, mute you guys' phones. We can hear everyone.
That's how I learned how to read. I grew up here, went to high school in Texas.
Mute your phones.
When I graduated, I wanted to go to college, but I didn't have something called a social security number. So if you guys are in this room and you're trying to build a business and you have a social security number, you're way faster pace than I am. I couldn't go to college, didn't have a social security number, so I ended up doing side work, doing volunteer work, help the church, and just making ends meet. So man, God just show me a way, and he was gonna show me a way. So fast forward, I met this beautiful lady right here in 2003 at a church youth function, right? So I was 27, she was 19, and I needed a way out, right? So when we got married, because she's a US citizen, so we got married, and I tell her every now and then, you know, I'm married just to get my legal papers, right? That didn't turn out so good because I ended up sleeping on the couch. So from age 9, guys, to age 30, I finally got the American dream, which is a social security number. Age 30, finally got a social security number. I said, man, I'm on top of the world. So I ended up working 60, 80-hour weeks because, man, we came from Tonga. We came here for the American dream, right? It's the American dream. Some days I would sleep in my car. Hey, baby, I'll see you next week. I'm just gonna go work. This is what it's all about. From age 9 going to age 30, you finally got a social security number. I thought that was the American dream. Fast forward in 2017, I got prospected by my mentor, my RVP, Jonathan Navarro, in Florida. He said, man, come partner with me. I'll show you how money works. He said, worst case scenario, you'll become financially independent in about 4 to 5 years. Man, I come from Tonga, man. We don't know what that is. I had to go to Google like 4 different times. What exactly is financial independent means? So I decided to be coachable and I wanted to learn. Here's this little 5'4". He was about to teach me what the fundamentals of the business was. Okay, what are you gonna do to show me? All right, so I decided to be coachable. Once I got my license, I went full-time. I don't suggest it to anybody that's doing this part-time. I went full-time and I told my wife, man, it's either burn the bridges or I gotta go back to corporate America. So I decided to be coachable. Every single day he would teach me the fundamentals and he would keep feeding me these audio tapes of this guy named Hector Lamar. The heck is Hector Lamar? So every day I would just plug it into my mind, just keep growing them. And then 2 years later, 2019, got promoted as regional vice presidents. Guys, before Primerica, we were making $12 an hour. Coming from Tonga, we just wanted to make $20 an hour. If we would make $20 an hour here, we'd be good. So 2 years later, we got the biggest contract in American business. And a year later, right when COVID hit, we crossed over 100,000 in income. Coming from where I come from, probably maybe about 5 or 6 people in the island of Tonga make over 6 figures. And here we are. Well, we came here for the American dream. So David wanted me to talk to you a little bit about building, okay? This is our method right here. We got to spend some time with David at the Highlands. That was an awesome weekend. So by the way, Jill, my wife wanted to mention the reason why cops got called because of her and Jimmy Haas for that weekend right there. So disturbing the neighbors. So the reason why we wanted to talk to you guys about building was the vision. I told David that I'm gonna build you 100 by 100 recruits. Remember, once you say something, you better put in the work, okay? And David, and I like how David rolls. He right, hey Chris, where's that 100 by 100? Where we at now? All right, that's cool. I need that accountability. All right, but the vision of here, we come here. This is the best opportunity in the world where you're helping people build a business and you get to build a business for yourself. All right, so one thing that I always share my guys is always lead from the front. I'm not telling them something that I'm not doing myself. All right, so what does that mean? I'm going out there every single month. I got to get my 3 or 4 directs. 3 to 4 directs a month. Okay, that's not even a question. You gotta do that. Okay, 3 to 4 directs a month. So what I mean by that is I play the rule, right? 3 to 4 directs a month. 1 will quit on you. I play the numbers just by experience. 1 will quit on you. 1 will go into witness protection. The other 1 will go to class, and the other 1 will lead you to a market, wide open market. Okay, that's how we build it over here. And be competitive, guys. Llewellyn talked about it. You heard Llewellyn talk about it. Be competitive. I'm over here stalking the numbers on the leaderboards every month, and I told David, I'm gonna dominate your hierarchy every month. Okay, that's my goal right there. If we're not number 1, then who's number 1? I'm going after you. That's why like Jared, because I've been stalking Jared's numbers for the last year. So he doesn't know it, but I'm stalking like that. So stalk the people that you want to become. Look at the people who you want to become, right? Don't be paying attention because the people that are under you. Look at the people that you want to become, right? That's one thing that I wanted to get you 3 to 4 directs a month and getting people off to a fast start. Guys, I got our requirement for district is 5 by 5. All right, we're here to think big. It's all about thinking big, right? People come in here, company standards 3 by 3. I'm thinking above that. Okay, we come here for the American dream, right? 5 by 5 is our minimum district, right? If you're not doing that, then you're not working. So, but the mindset behind that, guys, is if you really believe you can help them get 5 by 5 within a week or 2, mindset's already done. You're already on pace for it. That makes sense. So districts 5 by 5, getting them to a fast start. Diana, like I said, she came doing this just literally a couple hours a week, and she's got 9 by 6. I told her today, hey Diana, we need to get 10 by 10 by this weekend. All right. What is Diana going to say? Of course, it's definitely doable. She got the exam out of the way. It was like the monsters And we're like similar people because the only thing that's stopping us is the exam, all right? But the cool thing about this, everybody in this room has the capability of doing that. You know, why not just me? Why not the whole Landrum hierarchy can start thinking like that, right? I told him, man, you're a beast, man. It's just a little tweak, man. Let's go. Me and him. Now, me and him, we're going to compete to get to 100 by 100. Now the mindset is already set. So why not just me? Why not just him? Everybody in this room can run for that. It's just a matter of a mindset, right? But let's be competitive. Pick an enemy, okay? Who are you stalking? Who are you following? If you're following people that's right behind you, then you'll always be right there. If you're following people that's above you, go chase them. Go chase them. Be competitive. We were never competitive until we came into Primerica, but it gave us an opportunity to compete, right? Also, one of the things that we've been talking about is, I call up David every week. There's a reason why he makes $1.5 million and is financially free. I call him and pick his brain a little bit. So how often are you calling your coaches? How often are you calling your REP? Right? Is it a once a week, twice a week, once a month? Well, you are at your income because that's how often you talk to him. So I call him every once in a week, maybe a couple times a week to pick his brain and go and why. Okay, guys, I have never really been thinking about this. So the biggest that we've done is 50 by 40. All right. I told David that was me and one guy. He just decided it wasn't for him. So we can definitely, if you've done it before, you can do it again. So now the mindset is we're going 8 to 10 wide and we're going deep. Right? We can definitely done deep before, but now we're just gonna go wide. What I mean by that is going 8 to 10 and going deep. Definitely doable. Only in Primerica can somebody take an illegal immigrant like myself and give him the American dream, right? And also, one thing that I'm fanatical about, and I always tell my guys is only take hours off. Don't take days off until you're financially independent. Until you're living a life like Jared Nelson and David and Jill or Jimmy and Jacqueline. Only take hours off, right? Last week, we went to California for a little family function for my wife. So I went up there, Hayward, California. I have never been to Hayward or out in the Bay, but my mindset is I want to open up an office here. So I went over there, got 2 direct recruits out of there. Right, mindset. Beauty of Primerica is you can open up an office. Where are they? All over North America, right? Right, all over North America. So my mindset is, I can open up an office. I've never been here before, but let me tap in. So I got 2 direct recruits out of there. So only take hours off. Even when you're spending time with your family, spend time with them. You know, carve out just like you're covering out your job, covering out your business. Spend time with them, but always be fanatical about your business. My wife likes to wake me up in the middle of the night and say, hey, you're over there sleeping. You're talking about $1 million earner and 100 by 100. It just never turns off, guys. This just never turns off. When me and David talks about it, man, that feel just comes burning because we come here, man. We come from dirt poor. Man. We come here for the American dream. So only take hours off until you're financially independent. That's one thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And talk is cheap, guys. Hey, people can talk about it, but you got to bring in the work ethic, right? So one thing that only stops, and that's why I like it. Sorry, still learning English, man. So one thing about telling in front of people is now you guys can hold me accountable for it, right? Now hold me accountable for it. Now I gotta go do it. That's no problem. Be prospecting. Always talk about prospecting. Earlier, if you're staying at the AC hotel over there in Ridgeland, just this morning, just talking to the front desk clerk. Even though this is y'all's territory, hey, my mind said I want to open up my own bake shop over here. So prospecting the guy in the front desk, he's a military veteran. Guys, free IBAs for military veterans. After this, I'm going to recruit him and get an IBA out of it. So where's your mindset? Always be prospecting everywhere you go. All right, build it. Talk is cheap, and let's go build it. All right, David, that's all I got. Thank you very much.
All right, great job, man. Good info. And you know, the thing about it is, you've got to talk about where you're going and where you're headed. And you know, that is so important. Hey, this next person is Daniel Big, and just ask him to come up and share a few minutes. Works with who? But again, 20 grand in income last month, heading towards $250,000. Yep, welcome, Danny. Come on, brother.
Man, I just want to start by saying what fabulous honor this is, man, so all of us from Tennessee, thank you, David and Sheila, for letting us plug in here. Last night, talking to our people, you know, hear me? Talking to our people, the theme that kept coming up about your all's organization and about the gathering last night, and definitely will be talked about today, is how much of a family this business feels like here. I mean, your guys' environment is incredible. So please give David and Jill a round of applause. I do want to also thank my upline, Luke and Kim Houghton. Man, I was a young kid that had big goals and big dreams. My family, I came from a middle class family that taught me to work hard and save money. And I got a pretty cool story that I can lead through with the rule of 72, but man, I was always told that, man, if you work hard, you get what you want in life. And so I'm 5'7". I was a little short, chubby, but I did get to go play college baseball at a Division I junior college. 13 of my teammates on that team got drafted. We got to go to a World Series. We played against Bryce Harper. Really cool things. And I played at a high level at 5'7" because I was always taught, man, you can hit your goals and dreams if you're willing to put in the time, the energy, and the effort. So I did that at a young age. And when I came out of college, man, all I knew was coachability and work ethic. I sat down with Luke and Kim, and they said, you know, if you didn't hit the goals and dreams that you had of playing in the big leagues and doing some of those things, and 3 of my teammates from the World Series team did play in the big leagues and made big money, but you know what, that dream's over. And Primerica, who realizes that the RVP contract, like Chris said, is a contract for life. It's the best contract in America. Who understands that? Anybody? And so you can get those, you can go what David and Jill have, and what many of us have in the room is a contract where you can make a passive and residual income forever. You don't need to play in the big leagues to get financially independent. And, you know, so when I came here, guys, I started, and Duke sat down with me and he said, you know what, you got to go 12 wide. And so in my first 4 months, that's what I focused on. I focused on finding people that I could get into business with. At 22 years old, I never came here to sell the insurance or sell the investment. I knew from sitting down at the kitchen table with my mom and dad that this company did for my family's financial plan was phenomenal. And I'm so thankful for the leader that Luke was to talk to me about recruiting and building a business that the business sells insurance investments so you don't have to. And man, Chris, first thing is that, what do you got, man? Thank you for reminding me that you got to go 8 or 10 or 12 wide, because I did that for 4 months. Through those, we got 29 more, 41. And man, that launched us on our run to RVP. And Jared, what you were saying, buddy, it meant so much to me, because now we did big things really fast. I became an RVP at 22 in 18 months, got all the stock, and we grew stock grants and got up to like $60,000 saved and did all the things, making money and saving money. And my 5th month of this company, guys, I took a 28-day vacation to England, Scotland, and Wales as a 22-year-old. But my team that month, because I did go 12 wide, we got 29 through those, 9 people got licensed, 9 people made sales, made $1,800 in our 5th month. That got excited. So anybody in the room want to make passive income? Anybody want to get excited about that? That was important to me. But what was really amazing about this event, Jared, you changed my life, man. Because you talked about season this morning. I am an RVP, and we have been here for 10 years, and my wife and our income is at $120,000 right now. And we decided to change it and go to 250. And so we were over 200,000. We made 51 grand in the last 90 days. So we're growing again and we're excited about it. But Jared, being 10 years in the business now and really becoming more of an RVP that's got a little office, a little brokerage, I thought, man, I don't know if those big goals and big dreams can get there. And then what you said this morning about going out there and getting back focused and making a 4-year run and going to 600,000, man, thank you. You inspired me. That's what I want to go do. So everybody give a round of applause for him today. I mean, Well, let me talk about as a young guy, we got a lot of young guys in the room. And so for you right now, if you're in a season like I was at the beginning of my life, when you got a chance to go for it, you got a chance to be coachable and put into practice the skill set that God has given you, whether that's amazing work ethic or tenacity or toughness, whatever you've got going for you, you need to leverage that. Because when we went to RVP, it's a pretty phenomenal deal. And then I took a long break. If you're making $40,000 or $50,000 a year at 23, not working a lot. I mean, Jared, you talked about, man, maybe working 10 or 15 hours a week. That's what I was doing at 23 or 24. People think you're like, you got it, okay? And you do it. Anybody down south, they would like to hunt and fish down here. Who does that here? Anybody hunt and fish? So I love that. And I got a little distracted from our big goals and dreams. But man, when we had kids, I always promised my wife that she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. And let me tell you about a season that we went through in life. She got pregnant. She said, hey, you know what? You're not going to be able to let me be a stay-at-home mom if you're at where you're at right now. And so we ran our income up to 100. But when we had our first little girl, Eliana, I always thought that women get through hard times, after babies. My wife went through postpartum depression, which was really bad. She almost died delivering the baby. The baby almost died. It was a hard season in life. But let me tell you what's amazing about this business is you really can have a team where you can make overrides. I mean, you're going to go through some hard things in life, not just in business, but if you're young in the business or you're at a place right now where everything seems great, you're going to go through some trials. We were RVPs. We just ran our income up to 100,000, and my wife had just quit her job, and we found out that my mother-in-law had stage 4 cancer, 3 surgeries. She passed away right after my wife's postpartum depression. It was a season where I needed to be home for my family. And so at 25 years old, 26 years old, we just had a baby. My wife just quit her job. My mother-in-law passed away very, very, very suddenly, like 9-month battle to she was gone. But what never changed was I made overrides the whole time. What never changed is our uplines were always there for us, understood what we were going through, and let us be there for our family when we needed to be. So for the young folks in the room, when you're in a season of life where you can wear it out and go for it, do it, because there could be something coming where your family needs you for an extended period of time. And man, I am so thankful that this company, as a young man, gave me a chance to just make maybe 60, 70,000 a year and be there for my in-laws when I had to be. And that I put into practice this company's concept of saving money, because all through that, for 2 years of going to chemo and radiations and being there for my wife, my mom's had 4 heart surgeries, pulmonary embolisms, 2 broken backs, and the go-to person in our family, even at a small income number, as somebody said, a struggling RVP. But man, if you're going to struggle in America, I'd rather be at 50, 60, 70 struggling as an RVP than 50, 60, 70 under the thumb of your boss in a corporation. Can anybody agree with that? So man, you got to go for it when you can go for it. And man, Jared, thank you for letting me know that there can be a season where we can go for it again. I'm thankful for that. And thank you, David and Jill, for the time today.
What a great message. Oh, hey, Jill, why don't you, Gary, you ready? Okay, we're gonna have Gary Baxter coming up, and man, what a special leader Gary is, a special friend. And we really are, I mean, our environment where you just great people. And you get to be in business with, it's special. So Gary, come on up, buddy. I'll give him a hand.
Tom, you get your slides for me. How y'all feeling? Is this great or what? Y'all, this is great. I mean, I can't take notes. I'm not, I can't see as well as I used to. Can't take notes as fast as I want to, but man, it's been awesome. We got somebody, I look around, see so many great leaders, and just a privilege to be a part of this. Dave wanted me to tell you a little bit of my story, so I'm gonna try some of that. Tommy's gonna help me. Next one. Okay, next one. See, I always wanted to play guitar. And that's me, I think at 5 or 6 years old, strapping it on. And the reason I did that by getting up to play country music. And I was enamored by watching them play country music. And I wanted to play so bad, I didn't know nothing, couldn't play anything, but I wanted. Kind of like this, you gotta want to do it, right? So I've always wanted to do it. Next. So here's our first gig. Hey, my first paycheck. This is 5 guys, that's me on the right over there. And we played a kid's food shop down the street from my house, and the whole band got paid $10. It's always a big. First paying gig. You know, big things have small beginnings. You know, right? Y'all might think, man, I'm just starting. Hey, we've all been there. Just playing is something great that happens. Plan. Next thing, I really can't tell my own. Well, I didn't want to show you this. But y'all, this, we never planned on going on the road. I was in St. Louis. And Tom and I, we were in a band, we were playing at a Snake and Ale, and an agent came up to us and said, hey, look, I'm gonna put a female vocalist with you. Our band was called Phase 3, 3 guys. I'm gonna put a female vocalist with you, and I'm gonna put you on the road. Well, we had never thought about going on the road. We were in college, 6 months into college. And guess what? We went on the road. I mean, Tom and I went in and we had to resign from the college to see the gentleman in charge of all that. And we left St. Louis at age 19. On the road in the band. And that's what that looked like. Next one. This is the band that when I met my wife, Donna. Yeah. Isn't it unbelievable? You know, she made these outfits. So when I met Bill Lyles, a lot of things changed. What happened, you know, I was in entertainment for a long time. We played 6 or 7 years on the road. But when I met Bill Lyles, see, the Lord changed my life. I got down south and everybody was saying, y'all, you know, I went to a restaurant and they brought me out my breakfast and I told the waitress, I didn't order cream of wheat. She said, honey, liver bread. So I mean, I had a lot of learning to do. And y'all, what a blessing it was to come down. And while I was traveling in the van on December, it was New Year's Eve, December 75. Donna walked in the room, and this is no joke. And she came through that door, and I said, that is the prettiest girl I've ever seen. But she had a date. I had a problem. So what I did, I convinced the waitress to get her number, and the guy went to the bathroom. The waitress got the number. This is a true story. And the only reason she gave him the number, she didn't even know which guy in the band wanted the number. She just got a phone put in the room. So she was giving out numbers to everybody, right? And the truth is I called her the next, I saw her that night, called her the next day, we've been together ever since. Isn't it crazy? I mean, it's just crazy. How life works. Y'all got stories about that. Y'all got stories about that. Unbelievable. Okay, what's that? Oh, there we are. That's her prom night. She was 18, I was 21. How about that white suit? Next one, Tom. And then we had 4 kids. That's Heidi, Corey, Brennan, and Steve. And we're very, very blessed. And, you know, I think all of us, that's a big why for America. Our kids, now we've got grandkids, we've got 5 of them. They're so sweet, 3 girls, 2 boys, you know, and they're not heads, you know, my boys, but it's such a blessing. So we're going to talk about this thing didn't turn out. Why Primerica? Next one. Hey, y'all. the thing this has been Jared, Ray, Jimmy, all of y'all did such a great job. Y'all fired up about what we do. See, it's how you feel about what you do. And somebody said, you know, people can tell when you're all in. They can tell when it's coming from here. See, it's all about getting it from here to here. But when it gets here, it's over. Because all you're responsible for is the truth, right? It's their decision if they're gonna do this, but all we're responsible. You know, has anybody ever told the truth here? Right, raise your hand, right? So all you gotta do is tell the truth. The person that tells the story the most time, just gotta go tell the story. Next thing. You can go ahead and get all that out there. Yeah. Hey, y'all. These three things, this was talked about, but this is so powerful. You know, people never get money 101. Is that true? I didn't get money 101. Did y'all get money 101 in school? No one gets money 101. That's the first thing we do, money 101. How money works, right? Second thing, have a financial game plan. Now, there's some football games on today. So what's the fans around here, Dominic? What's the team? So I'm from Georgia, you Georgia Bulldogs. Thank you. And I'm from St. Louis, I'm a diehard St. Louis Cardinal fan. One thing I learned about, people would get fired up about their dadgum team. Is that true? All you gotta do is mention it and go talk for a half hour. Is that true, Dominic? All you gotta do is bring it up. So you know what I asked them? I said, who's your favorite team? If I'm in Georgia, I know. Right? If it's South Carolina, I know. But are they gonna tell you who their favorite team is? Now, what's the favorite team around here?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Now, who they playing today? That is very serious, right? Hey, so you're talking to the guy, he's an Ole Miss fan, you say, hey, what's the chances? Ole Miss is playing Alabama, what's the chances? Do you think they have a game plan for Alabama? Do you think Ole Miss has a game plan for Alabama? Now, do you think they got a game plan? Do you think they know every detail? What happens if they don't have a game plan? What happens if Ole Miss don't have no game plan? What's gonna happen? They're gonna do what? What's gonna happen if Alabama don't have a game plan? They're gonna lose. See, that's what I tell people. See, if you don't have a game plan financially, what are you gonna do? You're gonna lose. They'll say it. Lose, get our butts kicked. You know what I'm saying? Something that's appropriate like that with football. But y'all, that's the whole idea. We provide financial game plan, and then we try to earn the right to be the financial coach. Just fill that out. Jimmy did this. Jimmy, you talked about this. But y'all, all this is, see, the top line is the big thing. What's the top line say? People don't plan what? Fail. They fail in what? They just fail. And we get to just share with them, try to help them. Really, all we are is advocates for coming alongside. Say, hey, listen, let me just tell you what I found out. And this is the piece. I tell this like a puzzle, pieces of the puzzle, and we're trying to make a picture. Okay, next thing. This is really the primary opportunity. We build clients, build distribution, but what's the most important one? With the clients, build a relationship with what, your team? See, we build distribution. What does it say? America's greatest what? Do y'all believe that? Y'all we are. And we're just starting to build it. Isn't that crazy? We're America's greatest financial delivery system. That's why you want to work there. We deliver. Amazon delivers. We deliver. And a lot of other things. Good. Go back one time. Dave, when we started, how many products did we have? How many products did we have? One. Massachusetts, Jimmy, right? And then the team, and life insurance company. We had one product. We didn't have a securities company. Y'all don't know this. Y'all know what the name of our first securities company was? FANS, First American National Securities. That was our, but I joined that, we were 2 years old. Now, next slide. One product, look at that. Does that seem good? I mean, it's almost like drinking out of a fire hose. There is so much that we have wrong. Now, here's the question. Why do all these business partners, I'm from Missouri, skeptical. Why do all these people want to be associated with America? It's a business question. Why do that? Anybody know? Huh? See, because we're distribution, we have a proven track record. And they don't want to try to reproduce what we've done because they can't. That means we have what, y'all, there's no telling what's going to go through our delivery system. There's no 5 years from now, Dominic, they ain't gonna tell. Who would have ever, did y'all think we were going to be with Rocket Mortgage 5 years ago, 10 years, you wouldn't even thought about it. 5 years from now, y'all, this is just beginning. David said about this being the golden age. I'm telling you, we're qualified to say that we've been here for 40 years. You can't even imagine what you've walked into and what's going to happen. There's a lot of it we don't even know that's coming. Even this meeting is not about all the people that hear it is, but it's all the people that aren't. It's what's coming, and what's coming is great. Next thing. All right, now we're getting done. Bill gentleman over here with the glasses, like David said, he was just a dad to us. That's who I met out in the city. I was a musician, didn't know nothing. I met Bill Lyle, pipe rapper. And he just taught me so much about my David. Let me talk about David. David is the greatest servant leader in America. I'm qualified to say that because I've seen them all. I've pretty much heard them all. There's a lot of them now, a lot of new. We got some unbelievable. There's Chris did a great job. Unbelievable leadership coming up. Jared is unbelievable. But man, to be in his heart, to be part of this, I mean, it's emotional. And somebody just said, this is family, this is bigger than anything you've ever been in. I mean, you won't believe it. Just hang around him. Jared was telling me why he joined it. But then he found out it was different, right? It was bigger, it was better, it was unbelievable. See, people just need an opportunity to see it. Right? You can't decide for them, but don't they need at least an opportunity to see it? Now, Jared, aren't you glad you had an opportunity to see it? And aren't you glad? Let's say Mike Land was glad he didn't miss it. Isn't that right? Just remember that. No big deal. Just go tell them. Be a little bit excited. It's okay. Be a little bit passionate. The Bible says for the abundance of the heart. All right. Next one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the first one was the three amigos. This is the three amigoettes right here. Sylvia, Bill's wife, Jill. Hey, Jill. Hey, Dom. Y'all, here it goes again. Joanne, the most special partner in Primerica. Period. There's none like her. I've heard that. Because she normally can't get through her talk because she's crying. You know why? Because it's all from the heart. What a blessing. So many things I've learned from Jill. Isn't it amazing that our company values partners? Think about it. We value that. It's a huge thing. You know what? It's a game changer. I think of how many women are leading from. Just think about our company, what we value. I keep turning off my iPad. I gotta get back to the screen. Hey, I'm a senior. You know that? Okay. I had a note about, I've just been taking notes from all y'all. I'm wanting to learn, you don't ever quit learning. The hardest business in America is the people business. You know that? You know why? Why is it the hardest? Some people go to work and just don't bother. I got no work. But see, when you got people, you're always on the clock. You're always working, you're always thinking, you're always caring. It's hard. That's David. That's Jill. Always thinking, always caring. They organized this today. Always thinking, always caring. But it's also the most rewarding. Because it's so hard. But I wanted to just finish with some things. Some lessons I'm learning from the Lord. Y'all just give me a second. I'm in that time of life where these are really valuable years. You know what I mean? They're just valuable years. Jill taught me. She taught me that you get things done right. You get so busy about getting things done right. But what we really need to be doing is getting right things done. See? Do you have that perspective about getting the right things? So really, what should your week look like? Well, first thing I do is I go to the Lord and ask him, hey, what should my week look like? Otherwise, it ain't just about business. And if you do that, that's probably not the best thing. You'll learn that that's really not the best thing. So, let me tell you something I learned. You know what you can do every day? You know what? You want to have a great day at Primerica? Here's what you do. Get out your phone and text somebody that you've never texted for a long time. Call somebody that you've never called. This will start your day like you want to do. You know what happens when you call somebody and you say, hey, Jim, man, I know we hadn't talked in a good while, but I want to tell you something. Man, I appreciate what you do at church. I mean, I know you don't hear that enough, but I tell you, I appreciate you, man. I love you for all that you do. Thank you for that. Man, I hope you have a great week. You don't have to be long. You know what the best call or text is? The unexpected. And you do 2 or 3 like that, you're going to be great because the Lord's made us to care about people. And that's the only way you'll get fully fulfilled in life is to care about others more than yourself. And when you do that, it's great. It's great. God's taught me to pray first, not to put on prayer. I had to learn that because I was the guy, please don't call on me and pray. I'd be embarrassed. You understand what I'm saying? But God got me over that. Now, if I don't pray right away, that's an exception. People say, I'll pray for you, and not that they won't, but I just don't put on prayer. If they need prayer, when do they need it? That's right. And buddy, it's great. And that's the way to do it, right? Get on it. All right. Dot and I were coming up yesterday, and her sister was talking about Tim Tebow was in town in Waynesboro, Georgia. And she said it was unbelievable because you know what? He took professional football and he made it a platform for his faith. See, it wasn't about the football. That wasn't the big deal. The football allowed him to talk about the big thing. which is the Lord. That's David and Jim. They'll tell you that. It's a platform to build faith. Jared, I appreciate so much your thoughts, including the Lord, because see, He created us. He's a good one to check in with. He's a good father. More of Him, less of me. Church is not about Sunday, it's Monday through Saturday. Monday through Saturday is when you get to do church. You get to be the church. It's very important that whatever you do on Sunday, you're consistent. When your client's in there on Thursday, you better be the same person. You better not be, you understand, changing. Love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control, the fruits of the Spirit. May they abound in your life. You can't help it. It's all about Christ in us. It's nothing we can take credit for. What we can take credit for is getting out of the way. More of you, Lord, less of me. Christ will order our steps if we let Him. That's what I was talking about, making your schedule. He'll order them if you let Him, if you include Him. Are you setting Him aside, only picking Him up in times of trouble? Or is it that never-ending ceasing? You never pray without ceasing, always mindful of Him, that you don't do anything without considering Christ. Because He's a good Father. He'll never let you down. He'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. And then Primerica is great, because it's all truth. See, all we do is tell the truth. We didn't invent nothing. We just tell the truth in business. But man, isn't it great to share the truth in Christ? Changes everything. I'm going to finish with two thoughts. A lot of people, we talk about leaving things for our kids one day. Houses, money, stuff. That's not bad. But you know what? The one thing I want to leave for my kids, most important, I work on it all the time, Donna will tell you, is I want to leave them hope in Christ. Whose job is that? Mine. Whose job is it to share about our kids, about the country we live in and how great it is? It's our job. It's not school, that's for sure. It's our job to share the truth. The things that are valued, you have to pay attention, because do kids grow up quick? There's windows that open and close all as they get older, right? They'll do something for a season and then won't do it. They're in another season. Is this true? It's just what happened. But there's that window where you get to speak into their lives. Don't miss it. The way you miss it, you're going to get busy. The way you're going to miss it, you're going to miss people that are hurting. You're going to get busy. Don't get that busy. Doesn't mean you shouldn't work. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be busy at times. But don't get that busy. Don't miss it. So this is what I'm going to finish with. Hey, I got a twin brother. Isn't that scary? He might be talking to you, you wouldn't know the difference. I'm Gary, he's Perry. I just found out within the last 2 weeks he's moving to Augusta, Georgia. I left home 19. We hadn't been together in 49 years in the same town. We love each other, we see each other, but we just hadn't been together. And man, we're so excited. He's so excited. God did it. God did it. I prayed about it from the beginning. So Lord, if this is where you'd have to be, fantastic. Can I be a partner of what you want to do in his life and in his wife, Debbie? What a privilege that is. So I'm excited. I won't be there Sunday because I got to go back and meet him. So David and Jill, have you learned a lot of life lessons at Primerica? You're going to learn so many life lessons. I've got a pastor friend that wrote this book. It's called Think Like Jesus. See, the prayer is for his thoughts to be my thoughts. For his ways to be my ways. David and I talked about it over, for our responses to be his response. But the only way you know that is you gotta know it. Not know about it. You gotta know it. And then he'll change everything. Change the way you think. The transformation of your mind and your heart. You can smile. You can love people unconditionally. You can care about them. So I wanted to give Dave this book to share with them. A lot of the wisdom, this is for David and Jill, but this is Dave Willis wrote this book. It's Proverbs. You know, the book of wisdom, Proverbs, 31 daily readings. And Dave Willis, he reads this book. He reads Proverbs all the time. For years and years, like 10 plus years, he's read Proverbs. So I love you, Dave. I know you're kind of that. So here's the last thing I'll say. I'll get out of here. Thanks for letting the old guys talk. Hey, Jill, I don't know if you remember, a long time ago, I was going over to Mississippi. I was riding in the car, and the Lord gave me this poem. And I don't remember it all, but it was called Winning. And I read it that night. But I don't remember it all. And I've got it somewhere, but I remember the last line. I'm going to share this with you as I go. So the poem is Winning. It says, so when the Lord calls your name, please answer his call, because winning without him isn't winning at all. Thank y'all.
Okay. Well, hey, guys, you know, we're pretty much, let's see. Okay, five minutes, okay, and but I think we're done. I think everything's been said that needs to be said, and I just thank all the speakers. And there's so many people that so many more that could have gotten up here and shared, but man, I just think y'all knocked it out of the park. And so we're just excited. Hopefully, you know, we'll focus on the next promotion, right? Your next promotion. And, you know, just set some goals and let's just focus on growing from where we are. And the other thing I was going to mention is in the morning, I know some people are going to be staying over to come to chapel service here in the morning. I found out, it hit me this morning, that Dan Hall actually is in Arkansas. His son's getting married today. So there's a guest speaker tomorrow, but anyway, you're welcome to come. Okay. I just wanted to, actually his son-in-law, Colton, is, he's been a youth pastor, but so he'll be filling in for Dan in the morning. So anyway, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And, but guys, we just appreciate you. And we're, you know, as we go in now to this holiday season, you know, it's a great time of year to be thinking about, okay, next year's goals and, you know, what adjustments that we all need to make. The other thing is we're looking at the possibility of an event, kind of first quarter of next year, but we're going to kind of evaluate that between now and then of the year. And we're looking at maybe down on the beach somewhere. So we'll be talking about that more as we develop. So anyway, God bless y'all. Be careful going home. If you need anything, let us know. And again, appreciate it. Thanks.